morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will act on the recommendations of the tribunal that recommended the removal of Justice Said Chitembwe after the lapse of the appeal period. Chitembwe has 10 days to appeal the decision of the tribunal if he feels aggrieved by its findings according to the constitution.
For us to be a country built on the firm foundation of the rule of law, we must always keep to that narrow path of the rule of law and avoid extra-constitutional, extra-legal means of dealing with one another. I will subsequently do my part as instructed by you. This is a matter that I do not have any other recourse.
In its report, the tribunal said that the allegations made against Justice Chitembwe by the Judicial Service Commission were proven, having considered all evidence tendered and the applicable laws. In a statement, State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed said it will act on the findings after the lapse of the period prescribed by law for Chitembwe to appeal. This means, should Chitembwe fail to appeal the tribunal's findings and recommendations, Ruto will remove him as judge by February 17th. Now, ODM has blasted 9 of its MPs holding a meeting with President William Ruto at State House. Director of Communications Philip Itala said that the meeting with the MPs was no surprise for them, as it was a tactic to divert the nation's attention from the high cost of living and bearable school fees for the children and corruption. Meanwhile, Bondo MP Gideon Ochanda and Langata MP Felix Odiwuor have refuted reports that they've reached Raila Odinga's party, as they are among the MPs who met President Ruto at State House. The lawmakers have instead said the meeting was a follow-up to President Ruto's development tour projects in the regions. This even comes as National Assembly Minority Leader Opiyo Ndai says that they'll allow Azimio leaders to be guided by their conscience.
These public meetings, the people's barazas, political rallies, name it, are meetings that people attend on their own volition. We have never forced any leader for that matter. Defeating any leader is not again an agenda item for this meeting. We are not in the mood of punishing people. We have taken a conscious decision to allow people to follow their conscience as we focus on the people.
Now, the proposal by Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria to privatize some universities has been met with opposition from the varsity dons, who argue that such a move would leave the management of education to cartels. Through the umbrella union Universities Academic Staff Union, the dons have demanded that the government engage in dialogue with education professionals to find the best way forward. In solidarity with Natin Kupet, Wasonga affirmed that WASU will fight against the privatization and commercialization of education in Kenya.
If education is left at the hands of investors, investors are interested in making profit. Where will the poor Kenyan family go to? Will they afford university education, or the government wants to leave education in the hands of the rich only?
There is need for all education stakeholders to be involved in a national dialogue on the best way to regulate private education providers. Revamp public schools to make them more attractive to parents, learners, and workers. Government to build more public schools, especially in urban.
And Foreign Affairs CS Alfred Mutua says that no Kenyan has been affected by the earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria. Mutua has also said that the Kenyan embassy continues to monitor the situation in Turkey and Syria to help Kenyans who may be affected, further expressing Kenya's readiness to help the nation.
We feel that as good Christians and good Muslims and good religious people, and also as good people of Kenya, we have a responsibility to lend a hand to our brothers and sisters in these nations. Therefore, I'm calling upon Kenyans to join hands in extending material support that will alleviate human suffering, such as foodstuffs, clothing, financial, medical staff, among others.
And the National Treasury has tabled the first supplementary budget to the National Assembly with a raft of new allocations and reallocations, with the hustle of getting some 12 billion shillings. Treasury, however, appears to fall short in actualizing government austerity measures, which have seen 106 billion shillings deducted from development spending, only to reallocate 92.2 billion shillings of the funds to recurrent expenditure, leaving the government with savings of only 13.3 billion shillings. And internationally, a candidate for mayor in Nakuru, who was murdered just hours before the polls opened, has won the election in the city of Puerto Lopez. Omar Mendez was shot dead by a gunman who burst into the room where he was with campaign workers. No arrests have been made on the assailants, who fled on a motorbike. My name is Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping up. You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the ship or ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
good morning and welcome to Wednesday. What are we looking at this morning? Traffic is building up in certain parts of the city, but again, it's just starting out. Wednesday looks like it might be one that we will be able to get through without any problems. It looks A-OK on Thika Superhighway coming into the city. We have some of them just past the Pangani underpass and it's just building inbound Nairobi CBD. All right, what are we looking at? Coming out of Westlands, it looks pretty good. The mess that was yesterday, you might want to avoid that and get out on Wayaki Way sooner rather than later. All right, how does it look coming off Limuru Road past the village market out from Ruaka through? So we're looking at Rosslyn, we're looking at the village market and then coming out United Nations Avenue. Now is the time to get out if you don't want to get stuck in traffic. All right, Manyanja Road is also starting to pile up. It's going to touch on Jogo Road, which already has some traffic right around the Makadara train station. What's happening on the Eastern Bypass? As you're getting towards the AP Training College Junction, there's some traffic, but you should be all right in a short while. Talk to us about what's going on where you are this morning. Let's start Wednesday off right. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
SpiceFM, Malindi. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha.
Congratulations. You've seen the hand of the Lord. Thank you very much. I've earned another title today, this morning at SpiceFM. Mama Justice, I don't mind it.
Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Heri, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama bwana, mambo namna gani?
Salama kabisa bro.
Mambo ya Inamoi kuliendaje?
Mambo ya Inamoi, vile nilikwambia ndugu yangu, alienda asubuhi na ile gari ya kwanza.
I must have missed it.
So did I.
Even if somebody was to render you irrelevant, there is still work you can do.
Okay, sawa.
I deserve to keep you accountable. You deserve to give me a report. You don't work for me. No, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Do you like that Freudian slip? Lovely, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, it's 11 minutes after 6. Good morning, and how are you doing? Welcome to Wednesday. It's the 8th day of February 2023. How you doing, Ndu?
I am fine, thank you. Good morning.
You're fine, thank you is good.
My fine, thank you is all right.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Mine too. It's very good.
Your fine, thank you as well.
How
was your yesterday?
It's very good. It's actually very good. Yeah? Very, very good. Yes. You had a loved one? Hey, it's hot.
Yesterday, easily 32.
It hits those ones at about midnight. Yeah.
No, but then it gets really hot during the day and then really hot in the first part of the night. And then somehow, there 1 a.m., 2, 3, it cools down.
But it doesn't get really cold.
And then here we are, back again. I mean, right now, it's already 19 degrees. What are we talking about?
It's already 19. That means it was, around that temperature at 3 a.m. Hey,
17.
17 now.
Yeah.
Ish. And now it's very, very hot. You
The
ask
rains
yourself.
are coming. That's for sure. The rains are coming.
Chindio?
Yep.
Hey, okay. Now, it's another lovely day. Is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. See, Edna did like that.
So let me tell you what we'll be doing. Yesterday, President William Ruto hosted a number of MPs from ODM and from Luo Nyanza. There were about 10 leaders from the region. One of them was the Langata MP, Felix Odiwar, a.k.a. Jalango. So we want Jalango to come because ODM is not happy. ODM has said, no, we are going to commence disciplinary proceedings against these people who just went on and met with that man over there without consulting us first. Where are they meeting him? They should tell us, we agree. So he'll come and tell us why some ODM...
What was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, who invited the other? Who asked for the meeting?
Please, can we come to state out?
Yes. Who asked for the meeting? What are they discussing? What is it all about? All right? So that's what we'll be discussing today. Sawa. That is at 8 a.m. At 7 o'clock, there's a whole conversation about reforming the education sector in Kenya. In fact, yesterday there's a report that was released looking at the education sector in the country. Boaz Waruku is a strategy and policy advisor at Elimu Bora Working Group, and he'll be joining us at 7 a.m. to discuss that conversation. How to reform the education sector in Kenya. Does it require reforms? Reforming from what to what?
Man, a lot. Something needs to happen. Okay, let me not start. You just tell us what we're talking about first. That we can move.
That one. At 9, we will look at the country. So we know there's drought. Do we know that?
We know.
We know that the long rain season is coming. So it's about time for farmers to actually start looking. Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Where it could rain, are the farmers prepared? Is there fertilizer? Are the seeds available? Are they cheaply available? Now, back here, there's a whole issue of tax and the politics of tax and the politics of, we don't recognize this president, we don't know. There's children now going to school. There's the issue of the cost of living, this and the other. Abdulnasir Abdullahi, senior counsel. He's a constitutional lawyer and a very big supporter of the Kenya Kwanza administration. He'll come and we'll ask him all those things.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Remember how I told you people were lining up? Now imagine the horror, Eric. Lining up the whole day. you've now had to come and buy. So what was taking time is that people now had to buy uniform from said school. So you do, finish. So you go to, there's a line. You do the uniform, you finish. You do the bed stuff, you finish, because you're even buying mattresses and blankets and whatnot from the school. You do that, you finish. They check all your stuff, you finish, you go, and then you go to the line for school fees. If you even have 500 shillings less, and you have no way of making up that 500 shillings to put your child in school, you know what was happening? People were going back to where they came from with their children.
Kama hauna full school fees, go home.
When I heard that yesterday, my heart broke in pieces. So people were calling back, please help me, 3,000 shillings, let me make up. Help me, 1,000 shillings, let me make up. Those who had nobody to call and help me to make up, school heads said no. And they don't tell you this. You've bought all the uniform, you've bought the everything, you've come to the line now for clearance for school fees. And you say, okay, you know what? I want to at least, let me send this, let me pay this amount. Kindly put me on a plan. I'll come back and I will pay the remaining. They said no. Even 500 shillings we cannot allow. So there were parents who were going back with their children after traveling across the country, wherever it is that they were going. And then you have whatever less, take your child and go. Don't even pay the one you have.
It is madness.
I'm telling you.
It is madness. It would be interesting to know what schools these are and what the education officials,
honestly,
whether they are aware.
And is there a policy whereby ministry is saying, look, don't chase these people away because of school fees?
This has always been the case.
Don't chase them away because of school fees. Put them on a plan, let them hear what it is that they have to say.
And in fact, even CT has told us before, I mean, this is like a normal thing. Have a conversation. So, right, so you've brought the child at this point.
You've brought this amount.
Do you have a payment plan? Can we talk of a payment plan? Where? But then also, for a parent, should this conversation happen before, like, opening day? So on this day of the opening day, you're already coming and you're saying, I have an application for a payment plan. We've talked about this before.
Ideally, yes, Eric. Ideally, it should.
But then there's
a lot of logistics that have turned belly up this year specifically. This year specifically.
There is a lot.
Yeah.
There is a lot. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so tell us about COVID.
Okay. The Golden Globes took place. You know those awards?
They are golden and they are global.
No, the award is a golden.
So how many awards are taking place?
So this is award season, right?
The
Grammys, the Golden Globes, the SAGs, and then it culminates with the Oscars.
Okay. When are the Oscars happening?
At the end of this month, I believe.
Okay.
So all of that is happening.
Okay.
When the Critics' Choice Awards took place a few months ago, people came back with COVID. Now, Golden Globes have finished, and a number of people have done what? Tested positive for COVID-19. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michelle Pfeiffer announced that they contracted the virus in the days following the awards.
Okay.
So this Critics' Choice Awards happened on Sunday. They required COVID-19 tests for attendees as a list of dropouts grew. Celebrities were forced to sit out. And they said, look, you know what? I'm going to miss the Critics' Choice Awards because we attended these other awards and...
Kuna vile.
This is not going to happen. So this is it. That gatherings of people where one person may have had COVID will probably result in other people contracting COVID.
But
especially
it's obvious.
if you're... Exactly. It is clear. If you're asymptomatic, if you're symptomatic, whatever the case may be, gatherings of people where one or two people already have the virus, guess what? It will spread. Other people will contract. So it doesn't matter that COVID, in terms of severity and high infection profile, maybe has reduced over the last 8 or so months. It still remains the same in MO that you will contract.
Yeah.
Gatherings is a wonderful
place. I guess
place.
this is what it means to living with COVID.
Yes.
When the WHO says we have now to learn how to live with COVID, this is what it means.
This is it.
Because it doesn't matter whether you're talking about 30 people sitting in a concert hall and it's an award ceremony or people sitting in a football stadium.
Doesn't matter, same thing. Or the Lunar New
The only thing here is that this one now is announcing some, big shots have announced they've gotten COVID. How many people got COVID as a result of attending the World Cup? This is the new normal.
This is it. That you will go with a large group of people.
Yeah.
The chances of people getting COVID is high.
It's like traveling to some parts of the country you are likely to contract malaria.
Yes. If you're feeling sickly, when you come back, the first thing they're going to ask you, have you traveled to X, Y, Z? Let's test you for malaria. So I mean, come on. That's what it's looking like now. So folks are saying, should we be a little bit more careful about the other, gatherings? Like anybody cares, they will still go, isn't it? Ministry of Health continues to say, come out and get vaxxed if you haven't. Get your first vax, get your second one, or get your booster shots. And let's continue seeing how we can do what? How we can live with this thing. World numbers are looking at 676,573,180.
Okay, 21 minutes after 6. Let's take a break to take a look at the weather forecast. We will return shortly with shout outs to everybody who's online. Where are you? Are you online? Say hello to us. That is Eric Latif and Nduoko and Edna, our producer. Cities away. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Eric Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is 00 Direct, woman host, music by women and only women guests.
If COVID could mutate and evolve 6 times over the last 2 years, how many versions of yourself have emerged in the last 2 years?
Do not, and you don't have to give anything to get ahead. All you have to do is give out and show out your talent.
Catch 00 Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m. on SpiceFM.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is one of the best ways to spend a Saturday.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 16, dropping slightly. Highs of 29 and lows of 16. Partly cloudy at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 30 and lows of 12. And it's partly cloudy at 12 in Nyeri. It'll go to highs of 29 and lows of 12. Highs of 27 is what we'll see in Eldoret. It's mostly clear at 11. Mostly clear conditions at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 33 and lows of 25. And it's 27 and mostly cloudy. In Malindi, we'll see highs of 31 and lows of 26. Mostly clear at 19 in Kisumu, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 32 in a clear Kakamega at 16. It's partly cloudy at 20 in Kampala. It'll go to highs of 28 and lows of 19, while at 27, Dar es Salaam is cloudy, highs of 32 and lows of 26. Mostly cloudy conditions at 17 in Johannesburg, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 33 in a mostly clear Lagos at 26. Rain showers in Kinshasa this morning at 23, highs of 33. Looking out into Beijing, Wednesday afternoon is sunny at 5, highs of 7 and lows of -4, while at -2, Paris is cloudy, highs of 7 and lows of -4. It's -1 and mostly cloudy, a foggy morning in London, highs of 8 and lows of -1, and light rain New York Tuesday night, coming to highs of 5 and lows of 4.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Radical proposals to jolt
No. Do the other thing first.
Oh, can you see? I'm running.
You're
Okay.
ahead of your time.
That's right. Jeffrey Okoth, Sana, says, good morning from Eldoret. Good morning to you. Kilosh, Uncle Dennis, says, good morning, Ndoko and Eric Latif and Edna. How is your morning today?
Very good.
Not your morning tomorrow. Your morning today.
Morning ya leo.
You're okay? I tell him. Edna says she's hunky-dory. Kilosh is tuned in from Mtwapa. Good morning, Indu and Latif. How is your morning, great people? City Centre is very fine, says Peter. The thing parents go through because of Form 1, I'm telling you, it's not a small wahala. It was madness. It still continues to be madness for a lot of folks. Omo, the wahala is gargantuan. Faristo is in Mumias, says Nikondani, Karibu Sana. Pauline Shiro says, good morning to the Situation Room, praying for some rain. Omo, everybody's praying, oh. Kenyatta University is where Fred Wanjoni is tuned in this morning and says good morning. Good morning, Situation Room. Sijawa tupa. Na wasikiza daily. Ni sawa. Mambo ndio mengi, masaa ndio chache. Na wapenda sana. Tunawapenda pia. Johnson, good morning. Shalo Mukhalama says good morning. Honorable Nick says he's tuned in from Kitale Mtondo. Fika Makongeni is where Dorcas is. Mutwiri says beautiful, I say. Who is beautiful?
I say.
Somebody's beautiful, Abi.
I say.
Wonderful. Mutwiri Kiprono says hello, tuned in from Molo. Mageto Jaja. He said, good morning, Ndu and Edna. It's WCW. Oh, right. Eric, let's meet at the men's conference. Jaja, are you sure you're from Philippines? Are you sure you're not Kenyan masquerading as a Filipino? Present.
Connie, the men's conference is only a Kenyan thing.
I thought so. It's not?
It's a global conference, man.
I beg your
It's
pardon.
a global event.
I beg your pardon for belittling it to just one country. Who am I?
Otherwise, we'll say Valentine is just for Europe. Chunga sana.
Oh my, okay. Kapenguria, Dennis is in Kapenguria. Waithera is tuned in this morning. Kisumu is where Dennis is. And Bewa Macha is in Macha. Because Silas is tuned in as well. And Jose is also here with us. Eric Nyamao. Hey, everybody has woken up early today. So good to have you guys in the room. Dennis Kipto says, good morning. Tuned in from Masinde Muliro University in Kakamega. And from the City of Champions, Denzel Kogo says, good morning.
Good morning. Edna, Uncle Michael says good morning to you, specifically. Hao wengine waende wakasome gazeti. See press and posters for salams. The greetings are for Edna. All right, so the proverbs this week, once again, are from Malawi. Today's proverb, the most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly. The most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly.
Who is the green fly?
That one. It is not like the house fly. And it's not a tsetse fly.
Okay.
It's the green fly.
It's the green fly.
It's in Malawi.
Sour. The green fly lives in Malawi. Clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's fresh.
Yes.
Is it the new? Did you say the new flower?
The most fragrant.
Oh, the fragrant flower
of flowers is eaten by the common green fly, common green bottle fly. Yeah? I'm just googling what is a green fly. It says it's a blowfly found in most areas of the world and is most well known for the numerous green bottlefly species. Yeah? It's slightly larger than a housefly and has brilliant metallic blue, green or golden coloration with black markings.
I've seen it. I know it. So it goes for the fragrant flower.
Yes.
As should you. Abi?
Yes.
As should you.
Yes. Yeah, it just tells you if you're the most flagrant, you'll be eaten.
If you're fragrant at all.
If you're the most flagrant.
Be eaten.
Yes.
Okay, good. Very good.
Next thing, unagolewa. All right. Shall we look at the newspaper headlines?
Yes, let's do that.
What's on the front page?
Radical proposals to jolt the education sector. Among proposals, the Presidential Working Party on education reforms wants it Okay, let me start again.
Start.
Among proposals, the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms wants to trim the powers of the TSC. Yeah, there's a typo there. Wants to trim the powers of the TSC. The team is also suggesting mergers of universities as well as review of entry grades to teaching colleges. That would be an interesting one to look at. Do you know how much the SGR has raked in? Not the SGR. The Expressway has raked in 1 year. 2
in 7 months.
Billion. In less than a year. 2 billion shillings.
All right.
Justice Chitembwe gets the sack. How Justice Chitembwe dug the pit that buried his plum career. 13 years down the
drain.
Yeah.
Like that.
Just like that.
Wow.
Looking at the details of that, of course, we saw that verdict yesterday. The rogue judge is what the Daily Nation is calling him on the front page, and how this also ended. We're also being told, how Kenya Kwanza went on a spending spree after poll win. It'll be interesting to see those numbers. The state is out to privatize education. The teachers' unions are warning. So watch out.
Okay.
There are cracks that are widening in Azimio after Ruto's State House visit with Raila MPs, is also what we're being told. Eric.
Yes.
You know, this lower road. You know, there's upper road and there's lower road. Now, repair of Mombasa Road is going to start in 2 months, according to the Kenya National Highways Authority.
In which 2 months?
In 2 months from yesterday when they announced it. So, by mid-April, after Easter,
they'll begin repairing the lower road.
How long it will take for it to be finished? I'm sorry. We didn't ask you to ask that. Just know that they're going to start. Don't ask difficult questions, please. Just accept in your heart.
In 2 months' time,
we will start fixing Mombasa Road.
Okay.
Just take it like that, please.
Okay.
Oh, Dodo.
Okay.
Senate National Assembly differ on PSC Power's role. That's on the back page of The Nation. We'll look into the details of that.
Okay. 8:28 to 7. Let's take another break so that we can take a look at the traffic. What's happening on the roads? Shortly, we will look at those stories in the papers in detail.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the ship or ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If I look at the Premier League table, Manchester City is on top. Arsenal, number 2 in the table. Absolutely. How did Brentford get to number 3 in the Premier League table? They beat us like Burukenge.
Sugar and spice. What's your love language, French?
My love language is I want to be left alone.
What can't you compromise on?
Quality time and acts of service. Words of affirmation tutapata hata kanisani.
We do this
11 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. DJ Absolute and
Yolanda Mulwa
on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, busy coming off a thicker superhighway as well as the Eastern Bypass. We're looking at some traffic coming out of Westlands as well. It's just starting. And we're likely to see that build up as we go through into the morning. Where are you? Might you be stuck anywhere? Let us know. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. We want to keep things moving this morning, but let us know where you might be stuck and we'll spread the word.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed. And as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let's look at the stories in detail. The story that we'll be discussing at 7 o'clock is touching on this particular headline in the Standard this morning: radical proposals to jolt the education sector. It's given coverage on pages 6 and 7. So, actually, it's even 5 as well. Teacher shortage, poor facilities pose headache for schools. That's a new report. Kenyans will continue to pay dearly on education to educate their children unless some issues are addressed urgently. Education stakeholders say that inconsistency in policies, underfunding and teacher shortage are hampering delivery of quality education. Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Collins Oyu said these factors are responsible for the clamor for privatization in the sector. So he's basically saying, look, what we've seen is we have seen privatization and commercialization of education in this country. Basically, more and more private sector players entering into education and more Kenyans seeking private sector education.
Yep.
Because the public sector education is not doing so well. Why is it not doing so well? Underfunding, lack of teachers, and inconsistency in terms of policies. He said these factors have contributed to the clamor for privatization. He was speaking during the release of a report titled Rapid Assessment Results on Privatization and Commercialization of Education in Kenya. It revealed that 4% of schools in middle and low-income urban settlements consist of public schools, the remaining by private sector, especially the alternative private for basic education and training schools. This is crazy. Only 4% of schools in middle and low-income urban settlements are public. If you go to, and it's true, if you go to these Mukurus that you have, Mukuru, Koruben, Kwanjenga, the other one is who?
It's here.
Kayaba.
Thank you.
Right? Mukuru, Kayaba, Koruben, Kwanjenga. Public schools. Private schools is what you will see there.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
All
From
over.
ECD, you just find somebody has come up with with a private school they're offering ECD. There's no public ECD. There's no public primary school. And this is the case in very many of these areas. And if you look at this report that says it's 4%, that is actually completely annoying. Recommendations of this: number 1, national dialogue on education. 2, increase government schools' presence in identified areas, especially in urban informal settlements. Number 3, stringent observers to the Fiscal Planning Act. Revamp public schools to make them more attractive to parents, learners and workers, so that people prefer to take their children to public schools. Revise and increase the government capitation to public schools. Have ambitious recruitment of trained teachers to public schools. Increase budgetary allocation by national government to the Quality Assurance and Standards Department. All these things are what we've been talking about.
Okay. You know what?
Yes.
We're not talking about something that cannot happen. I think last year is when we saw that the former CS for Education, Professor George Makoha, announced this was the last exam that took place before this current Form 1s and Class 8s.
Yes.
That there was an improvement in performance by public schools over private schools when they looked at the general numbers. However, across board, in terms of infrastructure, just like you're saying, in terms of entrenchment of policy and things like this, unfortunately, the public system has done poorly. Should there be attention paid to the public system? Absolutely. Is there something that can be done? Again, I say absolutely. Because a little country, moving on center west here, has somehow been able to do it. Private schools are desperate in Rwanda for students and parents to come there, for parents to bring their children to private schools, because the public system has been so well supported and developed in the country that now parents and teachers are not seeing any need to send children to private schools, because what you get in private, you get in public, if not better. Private schools over the last 12 months in Rwanda have closed down, not scaled down or reduced their school fees, which they did, by the way. They reduced school fees to entice people to come. But people are saying, why do we need to do that? The public system, the government system is working and working very well. We actually don't need to go to private facilities. Desperate proprietors, they're facing closure of institutions. They asked the government to sponsor students to private schools at public rates. However, the government has rejected the idea. More than 30 private schools closed down at the time of this story. While others were struggling to stay afloat after losing students to public schools. School owners said they told Rwanda Today that even those who had managed to stay open were struggling to meet the operational costs. And why is this? Government has been very serious about saying, you know what, these are our children that we're educating.
Yeah, people go to
get it sorted.
Public.
What are we seeing now? SRC has reduced the remuneration for ECD teachers, reduced to 7,000 shillings. So you ask me, now you're saying you're going to pay somebody 7,000 shillings and they're laying a foundation in your child's life for education.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to pay them. Make a decision, man. What do you want?
It's just crazy policies.
I'm telling you.
Crazy policies. And then the other thing is, look at how much money from the national budget goes to education. And then you tell me that the areas where people are actually most vulnerable, what we talk about, in fact, even yesterday when you had James in the studio, he was saying, look, this person who earns 5,000 shillings is still paying the same VAT as a person who earns $1 million, Bob.
Exactly.
Right? Is still paying excise duty. Those consumption taxes are at the same rate. So this person is actually living a more expensive life. And this person they don't have an option. They must pay for education for their children. Because there's no public school in their neighborhood. There's no public school where this child can actually go to. So you must pay for school from kindergarten, from baby class.
Yes.
You pay for that not because of you choose to, but because this is the only way.
And you must work. Your child must go somewhere.
Yes.
You can't pay for home care. You can't. You can't have a nanny.
Yeah.
So you send them to school.
We look at schools and we think, okay, when you talk about private schools, we are talking about the McKinneys, the Rieras, and the Lucanias. Those ones are okay, they're private schools, but there are very many private schools that are actually in these informal settlements. And this is the only avenue that a parent has to take their child to. And they must pay for it.
You know
and
what?
you have a government that says, this and the other.
Yeah, if you don't get it right at that level, then you don't have to actually look very far as to the reasons why there's not success in other sectors. Seriously. At the very basic, you're getting it wrong. And I keep saying, the true picture of a nation is at the vulnerable. Look at the least vulnerable, look at the least vulnerable.
Yeah.
The most vulnerable, rather. The most conflicted. That is the true picture of a nation.
Yeah.
Money is what we are being told. On November 23rd, over 264 million was wired to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's office to implement urgent planned activities on the recurrent side.
Okay.
Approvals granted in supplementary budget. Also, we've seen that the president has been given 8 billion shillings in the supplementary budget, his office rather, for certain things. We'll look at that. However, the KK administration splurged hundreds of millions of shillings while approving the spending of more than 4 billion shillings on issues unrelated to development at the office of the president, even as its leadership claimed to have found empty state coffers. So maybe they were not as empty as we were told. Upwards of 264 million was wired to the DP's office for implementation of urgent planned activities.
Okay.
The disbursement was part of 1.59 billion that the National Treasury approved to be spent by the DP's office on the 21st of September, according to a mini budget. The supplementary budget of 2022-2023 shows that Treasury approved expenditures amounting to 127.5 billion shillings by the ministries, departments and agencies between July and December 2022, out of which 66.4 billion has already been spent to respective state entities. Okay. Since the election of President William Ruto, among spending items, Treasury approved 2.6 billion on State House affairs in November, 45 million for hospitality by the Cabinet on January 31st, and 840 million for use by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in September to facilitate temporary committee and other operating expenses, all recurrent expenses. Recurrent means it does what? It recurs, obviously. So, when you thought there was no money, there was actually some money. Let's look at the approvals granted in Supplementary Budget 2022-2023. 2,797,100,000 to State House Affairs, Deputy President Services, 1.5 billion, Cabinet Affairs, Hospitality, you know those things, 45 million, Policing Services, Medical and GPA Insurance, 5 billion, Foreign Affairs, Temporary Committee Expenses, 40 million, Foreign Affairs, Other Operating Expenses, 800 million, Treasury Equity Participation, 5.5 billion, Treasury Current Grants, 100 million, Planning, Making Every Woman and Girl Count, 10 million. Ministry of Energy, 200 million. O&Ms, Fuel Subsidy, 42 billion. Interior Security Operations, 125 million. 375 million went to Migration and Citizen Services. The Hustler Fund, 12.2 billion shillings.
The Hustler Fund got money?
Yeah.
Oh.
13 million went to secondary education. 4 million went to primary education. Sorry. 13 billion secondary education. 4 billion primary. Fertilizer subsidy, 5 billion. National Social Security Safety Net, 3.2 billion.
So let me ask. Is any of this expenditure outside of the previous budget?
Yes. Supplementary, man.
No, this is a supplementary that's being brought.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what is going to be spent.
Yes.
So we're on two different stories. I think I'm still stuck on the September expenditures.
Oh, no.
We've moved from that.
We've finished.
Oh.
I'm
stuck. I'm wondering.
Okay.
So
No. We've already spent it. That's different.
Okay.
This list I'm giving
so the supplementary is now the current one.
Yes.
Of what the supplementary budget is going to look like.
Yes.
All right.
This other money that I'm telling you about, the 200 and what, when they said there was no money.
That's a different story.
That one's already
Supplementary budget is what has been presented before Parliament now.
And has been approved.
And has now been approved.
Yes.
And it was supposed to come in and cut the previous budget by 300 billion shillings. Has it achieved that?
Nope. It hasn't, please. It has not cut nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Okay. Tell us about this judge who's being...
He's called the Rogue Judge on the front page of The Nation. Rogue Judge. How Justice Chitembwe dug the pit that buried his plum career is what's on the front page of The Standard. A unit unfit for office is what he was called yesterday. Tribunal finds the conduct of the judge wanting and recommends he be kicked out of office for, among others, discussing cases with litigants. 10 days is that what the judge has to appeal findings at the Supreme Court that could give him his job back. So within 10 days, he can appeal that, but it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. Right. He's not fit to hold office, according to the tribunal. The decision brought to an end Justice Chitembwe's 13-year tenure in the judiciary. President Ruto will wait 10 days before gazetting the official sacking of the judge and his removal from the bench. His fate has been sealed by this tribunal, and the only thing that could save him is an appeal at the Supreme Court. In a blow-by-blow finding against the six accusations Justice Chitembwe was facing, the tribunal chaired by Court of Appeal Judge Justice Mumbi Ngugi concluded that he's not fit. Having considered the evidence and their findings that all the 6 allegations had been proved, they find his conduct was in breach of the Judicial Code of Conduct and amounted to gross misconduct. And they recommended that he be removed from the office as a judge. It brings to an end 13 years of his serving at the judiciary. And State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed confirmed that President Ruto had received the tribunal's report and understood that they needed to wait 10 days in the case of an appeal.
So he still has like a window.
Yeah, you know. He
can go to the Supreme Court and appeal, and of course now he'll not be suspended.
Yes.
So in that meantime, he'll be earning half a salary.
Yes, and so what will happen is, if the Supreme Court decides, okay, we've got a lot on our plate today, and the next time that we can even sit to hear you, maybe it's another 8 to 9 months, guess what? He'll be in office for 8 to 9 months, earning half a salary.
The Supreme Court will not do like a presidential petition until there are 14 days that he come, chap, we do this.
No,
it's join the queue.
On, yeah. Prends le numéro, monsieur.
Join the queue.
Yeah.
Pick a number. Way.
So if it's probably what will happen is.
But then what are the issues? The issues that are raised it's primarily the Sonko tips.
Yes, it is.
This is it.
Yeah. The tribunal finds that the judge had a relationship with Sonko through
through marriage.
Yes, through
not
marriage.
Not married to one another.
Not married.
You're shocked. No. That's not it.
I'm laughing because when I had read the story earlier, I had laughed the same way. But anyway, his late step cousin, I don't know what's up with it. His late step cousin having married Sonko's auntie. Okay? Despite this, he had a meeting with Sonko during the pendency of the petition, which compromised his position as a judge. They further found that the judge took himself down when he decided to counter Sonko's allegations by going public and discussing the matter on live television, which, according to them, he shouldn't have done.
So Sophia contributed to his downfall.
And is that why Sophia didn't come today? They found that so the tribunal was investigating 3 cases in which he was accused of impropriety in handling a succession dispute while serving at the Malindi High Court, and the impeachment case against Sonko, for which they had framed 6 charges. They combined the 5th and 6th charges, to which Chitembwe was accused of lack of impartiality and non-disclosure of conflict of interest while dealing with the Sonko impeachment case. Obviously, because you're related, right? The tribunal found that, contrary to the position taken by the judge, and that his relationship with Sonko was remote, the relationship was actually close and warranted his recusal from hearing the petition altogether, or at very least, disclosing this information to a colleague.
What?
Tell your people that, okay, this guy and I, but he didn't do that. If anything, he said, that relationship, we don't even know. We wouldn't know. But clearly,
I do not know this man that you speak of.
They even added that he himself had admitted that a relationship between a judge and a litigant in a matter before him should be grounds for recusal. He said it himself. So now you've put yourself in the hole, you've taken the shovel somehow, and you've piled on the sand.
Oh, yeah.
The second allegation was that he lacked integrity on account that while serving as a judge, he failed to exercise his judicial functions as a judge independently by engaging with persons who were litigants in matters that were before him. So we're in court today, then I meet you for a drink later, and you have a guy that I'm supposed to be dealing with in the chambers. No. The particulars of the statement of this allegation were to the effect that the judge offered legal advice to Sonko on the viability of an appeal and the proposed grounds of appeal against the judgment in the petition against his impeachment.
Yeah.
Basically telling him, plead this way, get your lawyers to stick. It's like leakage. In an exam.
Sonko tapes. People who are just laughing at Sonko tapes. Look at what they've done. The Sonko tapes. We should raid all Sonko's hideouts. Huyo mtu, he can come back for you after 20 years. Have you ever talked with Sonko? Never ever raise an issue. Let me tell you the story of a lady called Teresa Nyangi. Teresa Nyangi used to work for Equity Bank Limited. She was hired in 2017 as a senior relationship manager for corporate and SME banking. Teresa Nyangi was in a relationship with a certain gentleman. And in this relationship, they decided, let's, invest in building a house. Now, the best thing to do, see, you work for a bank. Let's do this. Take some loans. Okay? So Teresa Nyangi takes some loans in her name. This man runs some businesses. And he says, I'll be getting money from the businesses, I'll be paying for the loan. And they start doing those things. However, the relationship goes south and they break up. Teresa, man, break up. Teresa, loans, banks don't break up. So banks, no, Teresa, you owe us money. And it's not one bank, it's several banks. Huh? You owe us
And
money.
all this money she was taking for business.
That's what she says. Okay. So she's not repaying. Banks, what do? See, banks do what they like to do. Where CRB? Ebu iso. No, the other one. That one. Banks call CRB. Wait. Where are you? She's listed on CRB. The code of conduct at Equity Bank is that you shall be ethical, you shall clear your debt, you cannot work for a bank as an employee, and then you also you have debts all over, and you have CRB, you're not credit worthy. So they keep doing background checks. At this time, they realize, Teresa, you have been blacklisted by CRB. Teresa, please come. She's called by the bosses, human resource boss and her boss. What's up? She's like, yeah, you know what, guys? This is the case. I mean, I took these loans, we were doing this and the other, and we broke up with this man, and now he's taken off, he's not paying the loans. So, okay, can you sort this thing out? Yeah, so they advise her, this is what you can do. Maybe you can consolidate all those loans. The human resource director even says, I'll help you with this process. Okay? The agreement is that the human resource director would guide her. At the same time, it was agreed that Nyangi's family would assist and that she would dispose of her car to redress the debts. She presented documents to support her application for mortgage. The mortgage process, however, stalled. May 1st, 2018, this is a couple of months after she met the human resource management, she was required to explain why the bank should not let her go. She was fired on August 6th, the same year.
Why?
Because, look, we agree that you're going to do this. You're still listed. Our code is clear. Somebody who is listed on CRB and is not making effort to get out of it really cannot work
So
here.
the issue was that she was not making efforts even after they had given her a leeway for assistance and all of this.
You are still listed on the CRB. You have not been whitelisted by the CRB. We cannot have you here. So, show cause, she couldn't show sufficient cause. She was let go. Went to court. The Employment and Labor Relations Court sued the bank and said, come on, I cannot be sued. I cannot be fired like that. Court listened. However, the judge of the Labor Relations Court, James Rika, found that she was in breach of the bank's regulations and that one should ensure that they are not in the red by paying up their debts. According to court records, her partner had failed to do this. So the judge said, it's unfortunate that the claimant's former partner committed the claimant in taking huge loans from different institutions and was not there when the couple was required to repay. The claimant states that she was aware that the partner's businesses were profitable and it is difficult to comprehend why this gentleman placed the claimant at the tight corner. However, the bank cannot be blamed for taking disciplinary proceedings against the claimant and terminating her contract because she knew.
She knew.
This is the code.
Ouch.
The bank fired you because this is what they've said. These are our ground rules. Unfortunately, you need to repay those loans and
You don't have a job.
you don't have a job.
Sorry, we can't help you.
Yeah.
Goes against my question when I asked the judge from the
Labor Relations
Court whether most of the cases go in favor of the employee
or the employer.
Yeah.
In this particular case, it's got in the favor of the employer.
Absolutely.
Well, keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, let's talk about reforming the education sector in the country. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will act on the recommendations of the tribunal that recommended the removal of Justice Said Chitembwe after the lapse of the appeal period. Chitembwe has 10 days to appeal the decision of the tribunal if he feels aggrieved by the findings according to the constitution.
For us to be a country built on the firm foundation of the rule of law, we must always keep to that narrow path of the rule of law and avoid extra constitutional, extra legal means of dealing with one another. I will subsequently do my part as instructed by you. This is a matter that I do not have any other recourse.
In its report, the tribunal said that the allegations made against Justice Chitembwe by the Judicial Service Commission are proven, having considered all evidence tendered and the applicable laws. In a statement, State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed said it will act on the findings after the lapse of the period prescribed by law for Chitembwe to appeal. This means should Chitembwe fail to appeal the tribunal's findings and recommendations, President William Ruto will remove him as a judge by February 17th. Now, ODM has blasted 9 of its MPs for holding a meeting with President William Ruto at State House. Director of Communications Philip Itale said that the meeting by the MPs was no surprise for them, as it was a tactic to divert the nation's attention from the high cost of living and bearable school fees for their children and corruption. Meanwhile, Bondo MP Gideon Ochanda and Langata MP Felix Oduor have refuted reports that they've ditched Raila Odinga's party, as they are among the MPs who met President William Ruto at State House. The lawmakers have instead said that the meeting was a follow-up to President Ruto's development tour projects in the region. This even as National Assembly Minority Leader Piondai says that they'll allow Azimio leaders to be guided by their own cautions.
These public meetings, the people's barazas, political rallies, name it, are meetings that people attend on their own volition. We have never forced any leader for that matter. Defeating any leader is not again an agenda item for this meeting. We are not in the mood of punishing people. We have taken a conscious decision to allow people to follow their conscience as we focus on the people.
The proposal by the Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria to privatize some universities has been met with opposition from the varsity dons, who argue that such a move would leave the management of education to cartels. Through the umbrella union Universities Academic Staff Union, the dons have demanded that the government engage in dialogue with education professionals to find the best way forward. In solidarity with NAT and CUPET, Constantino Songa affirmed that WASU will fight against the privatization and commercialization of education in Kenya.
If education is left at the hands of investors, investors are interested in making profit. Where will the poor Kenyan family go to? Will they afford university education? Or the government wants to leave education in the hands of the rich only?
There is need for all education stakeholders to be involved in a national dialogue on the best way to regulate private education providers. Revamp public schools to make them more attractive to parents, learners, and workers. Government to build more public schools, especially in urban.
The National Treasury has tabled the first supplementary budget to the National Assembly with a raft of new allocations and reallocations, with the hassle of fund getting some 12 billion shillings. Treasury, however, appears to fall short in actualizing government austerity measures, which have seen 106 billion shillings deducted from the development spending, only to reallocate 92.2 billion shillings of the funds to recurrent expenditure, leaving the government with savings of only 13.3 billion shillings. In the first supplementary budget to Parliament by Treasury boss Njuguna Ndungu, the State Department of Cooperatives has seen its allocation increased from 2.3 billion shillings to 22 billion shillings, with 12 billion shillings set aside for President William Ruto's election pledge project, the Asla Fund. Outlining the reasons for the allocations, Ndungu stated that the decisions were reached due to emerging priorities and emergencies, including the drought that has hit the country, which has seen the State Department for Arid and Semi-Arid Lands get an additional 6.3 billion shillings from 10.4 billion shillings to 16.7 billion shillings. And a candidate for mayor in Ecuador, who was murdered just hours before the polls opened, has won the election in the city of Puerto Lopez. Omar Mendez was shot dead by a gunman who burst into the room where he was with campaign workers. No arrests have been made on the assailants who fled on a motorbike. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
SpiceFM. Nakuru.
It's heavy coming off of Thika Superhighway, entering into the CBD this morning, and it's going through Murang'a Road. It's already busy on Kiambu Road. I told you half an hour ago you should have left. If you haven't, you will be stuck in this traffic that is coming down past the DCI out towards Muthaiga Square. It's building up on the Thika Superhighway well beyond Committee Road there, Safari Park Hotel, inching along ever so slowly, trying to get into the city. Let's look at Westlands. Let's look further back, actually. Gong Road, some traffic. Naivasha Road, also pretty busy, spilling onto Gitanga Road, which then goes out towards Mzima Springs, and then from Mzima Springs out, and then onto James Gishuru. Waiaki Way is also pretty busy already. We're looking at not too terrible of a situation on Mombasa Road. You should be all right getting through to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. So there's traffic in different pockets of the city. Nothing too painful just yet. We'll be in traffic hour in a short time. Let us know what's going on where you are and try to keep things safe and moving this Wednesday.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
7 minutes
the only way to
on this 8th day of February 2023. Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. Ndu,
Yeah.
where are we live?
In Nairobi.
On what
Kidding,
platforms?
Streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. So join us. The live streams are up this morning and you can find us there.
Also on KTN Home.
KTN Home.
Yes. Can you ever silly? Same was up. Yeah? Let me tell you about Showmax. It's giving. In a give.
What's it giving?
In a give.
Tell us.
I tell you what.
Yes.
You know that feeling of signing up for Showmax and getting 2 months for free just for the price of one?
I like things that come.
Sindio? You like such kind of things?
Yes.
In a give from only 300 bob. Imagine streaming the best content anywhere, giving download to watch offline energy. You can download and then watch offline.
Save it for later kind of thing.
That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. Showmax giving. Wherever you are, in a give more entertainment for less. That's showmax.com. Sign up today. www.showmax.com.
I love it.
Showmax in a
Give.
In a give. The day's proverb comes as we welcome our guest for this hour. Boaz Waruku is a strategy and policy advisor at the Elimu Bora Working Group. He's our guest this morning because we want to talk about reforming the education sector. This word of reform, I asked him, so we are reforming education.
Do we need a reform? You know, reform. Okay.
Reform is that we've been anyway. Let's welcome Boaz with the day's proverb. Boaz, today's proverb is from Malawi. And the proverb goes like, the most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly. The most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly.
Good morning, and thanks for introducing me with the proverb. And you know, as an African, proverbs are best served in the local language.
So this one somewhere, it's lost in translation.
You risk losing some translation. But I guess it could be also similar to, you know, they say the early bird gets a worm, but they also tell you the early bird might also be caught by the worm, might also be caught by the eagle.
Or the early bird catches the early worm.
I think the best fragrance in this case for me is a case where you know, you could be blooming, you know, very, very well and attractive. So being attractive invites lots of interest.
It has its positives and its negatives.
Just like a mango tree with all those mangoes hanging there, that is where the children would like to play. So that's what I consider this to be.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Boss, tell us about Elimu Bora Working Group. What is it?
Thank you very much. Probably I would tell you that Elimu Bora Working Group is a working group, as the name suggests. People are working.
It's not like
there.
a working party, like the presidential working party.
Yeah. Okay. We also work with several others, including giving opinions and suggestions on what needs to be done to transform this education. I think you talked about reforms. As we are looking at a total transformation of education in this country, and we're saying that the members of the Elimu Bora Working Group have been very active in education policy development. They've been anchoring heavily on the rights to education, particularly the Article 43 of the Constitution, socio-economic rights, the rights of the children, 53, and the attendant legislations, basic rights, Basic Education Act, the Children's Act, and the Sexual Offences Law, because that protects also the children. So for Elimu Bora Working Group, it brings those diverse interests that have expertise and deeper knowledge on education, including the University Academic Staff Union, Kenya Human Rights Commission, the Uraia Trust, and of course, you know, the role that Uraia Trust plays within the civil society sector and supportive of key government agencies in policy development in this country. And so there's the grouping that evolved as the Elimu to Itakayo, that's the education we want, and which also developed key benchmarks on how do you really evolve an education system that is suitable for Kenya. And now we're looking at it within the 21st century. There's the Kenya National Interface Team, which is called NIT. Now that when I mentioned that, you know, in Kenya here, I think people should also know that there are some Kenyans who just sit somewhere to think about this country. And they just want to know that Kenya is not headed in the wrong direction. And should they detect that, we were sailing to Sao Paulo, but we are heading to Mumbai. There's something wrong here. Guys, there's something wrong. We risk getting lost somewhere. So that is what NIT does. Okay. And in brief, I think those are some of the key anchors. They are the co-host of the Elimu Bora Working Group. And the basic agenda is to rediscover what education is all about in this country. I think we have been just fumbling in the dark from colonial period through to post-independence period and up to now. So we call it the neo-colonial era.
What would be the indicators of that thesis?
I'm saying so because you look at the documentation we have and the practice, totally different. But the colonial era was very clear. They wanted to educate Africans for the market as people who will just do manual work. They were very clear. But immediately after that, I think Kenyans did not take time to discuss what kind of education do we want. Education for what? So the philosophical foundation of education has never been discovered in Kenya. And I'm happy that NIT, within that Elimu Bora Working Group, has been heavily investing in just thinking what should we be talking about as education. Leave alone, this idea of when people are discussing education, then somebody gives you numbers. 844, they give you 76, whatever. That's not where the matter is. Education for what, and how do we evolve that? What would be an indicator, for example, when you meet somebody in South Africa, and even after maybe interaction and all that, you say, that looks like somebody who has learnt in Kenya. That is a brand that many of us would have wished to see. In other words...
Are you saying we don't have that? Because the way you're actually painting a picture, like for the last 60 years and even beyond that, is we have not had an education that serves any purpose in this country.
We've had education that has a total disconnect from its conceptualization. Why do I say so? For example, I've had many Kenyans talk about, we have 8 education goals. And sometimes I ask them, do you know them? Where were you taught to arrive at that and all that? And how is that translated into the curriculum, the concrete work that we do? Then you realize that there's a total loss. You come to, how do you deliver an education system without the teacher and the learner at the center? Because I think in Kenya we've somehow had that very unfortunate situation. Let's situate this in the CBC that was rushed, where you find teachers saying, "Please involve us. Let us converse." Our candid conversation on this. But you saw the roughshod with which some of them faced it, particularly their leadership. And then you'd also realize that at a time when they're saying, but you are making adjustments, I would call this adjustments within the education sector. You're doing adjustments in curriculum. Indeed, in Kenya, we may actually be the only country that produces books or materials before we agree on the curriculum
itself.
Those are very difficult situations. And yet, outside here, we want to put a brave face that things are right. So why am I saying that? Is because when the teachers, you're being told, we actually induct these teachers, we'll train the teachers. You start by who is going to train these teachers? I thought the teachers are the teachers who should be actually carrying out that training. And so why I'm going there is because I think a lot of the problems that now we are facing ourselves dealing with as an emergency are issues we should have dealt with long time ago.
So where is the problem? Is it a policy issue? Because you said disconnected right from conceptualization.
Yes.
Is that a policy issue?
It is a policy issue.
Do we have an education policy?
It is a policy issue. It is a leadership issue.
Do we have a policy for education in Kenya?
I wish I would
a written
touch it.
and documented policy.
I wish I would touch it here. Yes, we have, because if you look at the Basic Education Act, it attempts to give you an idea of where we are going. But in terms of composing it in a wholesome manner, because education, for me, it starts from the crib and it's lifelong.
So we don't have a policy document. Right now, the country is working towards, we're discussing tax matters. We're discussing a tax policy.
Yes.
We have a food and nutrition security policy. Do we have a policy called education?
The ministry will tell you they have.
Policy.
The ministry will tell you they have. The problem that I would have is that we could be having a document in place, but the policy is a practice part of it. And that's why I'm only singling out, if I'll be very comfortable with the Basic Education Act. Why? Because the Basic Education Act, if you look at it, it actually attempts to bring to fruition the spirit and the values of the principles encaptured in our Constitution of Kenya 2010. It brings the foundation of what education is supposed to be. But then I'm saying we get lost somehow because you're looking at, Kenya, we are quick, we want to develop very good materials, and the practice then even within that constitution, when you're told about public participation, then you realize you want to push people towards changing an education system that they're barely sat to understand what really are the loopholes, what is ailing the one that we are having.
Okay.
And
if we look at policy, obviously we know policy to be the operationalization mechanism of anything, right?
Yes, I agree.
Putting it into practice.
Yes,
that's what policy is.
Yes.
Now, we've talked about the fact that there's so many elements that have gone wrong in the education system, and education in Kenya is so layered in the way in which it's delivered, in the way in which it's practiced, in the way in which it's formed at the ministry level, and then passed out to now what we have as counties.
Yes.
What would you say, if it's possible, through those layers, is the problem that is being faced today? During the first hour of this show, we talked about the fact that there's a proliferation of private schools, or private institutions around the country. Commercial, exactly. And one would think when you hear private education in the country, you think of a swanky building with people wearing ties and coiffed it could be your little room where 10 children.
Community school.
Exactly.
Your business behind the guard.
Exactly.
Yep. Yes.
For me, that's one problem. There are a myriad of issues when we look at Form 1s who went back to school yesterday.
Yes.
Look at now grade 7s who've gone back to school and the layers of issues that we are seeing there. What would you say are some of the issues that the education system is facing today that perhaps this policy, if there was a working policy, that would then be able to iron out some of these issues?
I like the aspect that you bring on the table. Education is layered. Layered to achieve what? You are addressing philosophical issues around education. Because the moment you have a clear philosophy of what our education is to enable us achieve, then even the policy framing comes into place. You'll then realize that, okay, before the child steps into school, how do we support the parents to develop that child and prepare for learning? Because we want this child who, when they are going to interact, they are not interacting and then they start having very peculiar kind of habits and all that, because that learning has begun with the parent and it's coming into the space where the other children are also involved. So that layering speaks volumes about when the lower part and the middle and the top and all that is not speaking the same. It's because that they are not attuned to that vision, which I'm talking about as the philosophy of this education. Then that is where we start having problems. How? Because right now, when it's not that clear, you'll start finding that then you've not provided for the ingredients that are needed to produce that child at that level. And that is why then you still tell them, okay, but we want our children to be very practical, yes, knowledgeable, competent. In a way, they have skills, they can use their talents and social skills, they can interact. But then you realize that you are not providing for the formation of that child. And then the little, because nowadays, I don't know what this obsession with the private education has become. Because then you'll find that everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, Onyango, Pio, Wandera, and all that, puts an academy, say Spice Academy, sorry to use that.
Yeah.
And then people think there's quality in there.
Yeah.
But then they've not gone deep to realize that the parameters of quality are very different. The parameters of quality are not in the tie and the shoe and the socks. The parameters of quality starts first with that teacher there who has an understanding, has been enabled, and has that understanding to deliver the curriculum there. A motivated one. Not one that feels that if I coughed here, then I'll be delocalized, for example. Let me use that as an example. And you, I think you understand that a spirited, well-motivated teacher would turn stone into water, still water for us to drink. Why am I saying so? Because there's no child who is incapable when they step there. A teacher would be able to understand this could be learning slowly. Yeah. So let me see how to do it. That a motivated teacher would do. So you put the teacher. I took just an example of an ingredient of what the quality would look like, and at that layer, and attempting to answer in the manner that we must be very clear at what level and what is the contribution to the next level. I like some of the pronouncements, we may call them policy pronouncement, 100% transition.
Yeah.
So assuming that you've developed the foundation so well, it is your building, your house you're constructing, the foundation is so well, then all of a sudden you come with matope and unaanza kuweka wall. Then you start realizing there's something is not adding up.
The foundation is good, but...
Yes, the foundation is good. But I'm not saying that the foundation is good currently. I'm simply telling you that why I think because layer 1 to layer 2, layer 3. And then it goes. But I was putting the element of the academy because this obsession that our people also think that the quality is in there. One thing which you need to know. Education as a public good, if not delivered, developed first well and delivered through publicly funded investment, then many of our children would not survive because it will create inequality, because it would be those who are able to pay will get it. In the urban areas, the slums, for example, you realize that for quite some time, the government assumed that those slums had no people. Am I right?
Yep.
It's true.
Yep.
That's why you'll find public schools are not there.
Yep.
And so because the parents, as a parent, you would wish to see your child learning. What do?
Take them
You
to the
come
nearest.
together, one parent, the other, and you say, can we start a community school? And that's why I think they're coming into place of the aspect, the alternative basic education policy, the slums and all that, which was creating a window of opportunity, at least for a form of education that would be managed and administered to certain level of quality. That was a very good aspect of bringing this. So for me, when you do not provide and you make the parents to have the only recourse to their children learning is a private, for-profit institution. I said, my business is my business. My business at the backyard, I can do anything. And just when COVID came, it taught us a lot of things. There are many private schools. What did they do? Some converted to poultry. Some converted into anything. And let me tell you, there are even some that converted to beer dens, beer gardens. So in other words, when you are investing as a for-profit person, you scale it, you say, so what is giving me money? If it is not, I can easily close that school and start something else. So that's why for us, and the Limo Bora, we insist and say it is the responsibility of the government to provide this education using our taxes, which it collects, as a priority. And not just to make our children be in school. Like now, grade 7 are in school, but are they learning?
Who knows, man?
How can you? No, tell me. Let's be very clear. Because learning takes place when the interaction of the child, the teacher, the materials, and all that. Do you have teachers in there?
No, we are waiting. They said
we are waiting. The growth does not wait.
They said next week.
The child is in school.
This child is in school. They are going back. That we have come back from school, and the parents. Some parents think they're learning, but you see, we have to call this out, and we have to say, please.
But then, Boaz,
yes, please.
This conversation has been there for many years. Even by the time we were rolling out 844 in 1985, it was as a result of a conversation about let's look at our education system and where we ought to go.
Yes,
we've had since then several other conversations. Quite report, and I'm sure you have all those reports.
We have over 20 such presidential
all those reports. Because the president listens to the people and hears we need to have a conversation on where we need to go as an education, as a country for education.
Yes.
Report number 1, report number 2, report number 20. We are now in CBC. We have a working party, presidential working party on education reform.
Next month they'll produce a report.
Another one.
Yes.
It sounds like you people in the education sector are really interested in just sitting down and talking and producing reports. But those reports are not convincing enough for the political leadership to see, yes, this actually makes sense and let's move. For the policy makers to see, this makes sense, let's implement it. And when it's implemented, it makes sense.
Thank you very much. I would have wished that this is the time that we pile those 24 presidential reports of the past. And you look through them first and look at what was recommended and has it been followed. The one that we are about to come up with, and first, by the way, we should have been having an interim report. It was handed over to the president on the 1st of December 2022. Have you received it?
Yep. Haven't come across it.
I haven't come across it either because I'm informed it is for the appointing authority, but it is our taxes that are used to generate. We want to interact with the issues that are in there so that we start and we give any opinions. By the way, I'm speaking.
It's called validation.
I'm speaking here because I've been part of the NIT team that interacted with the Presidential Working Party, and some of the issues here we generated, and told them if you do not go that deep, then you would not be helping. So what I'm saying, because you mentioned those many reports, I wish this was the time that then they'll go through. But of course, some of those reports are very, very, very what would I say? Like the Bicha report.
Outdated.
Okay, they are not in sync with the thinking
Out of
of
reality?
the 21st century.
Okay.
The Bicha report, for example, because that one was just before it was not repealed, but the understanding that, okay, can we allow just a few of the Africans now to be able to go to the secondary schools and all that. So there are some comical elements within some of those reports which we'll still be able to trash. But what is important now, as Kenyans are grappling with lots of issues, by the way, the debate is coming at a very difficult time in the life of many Kenyans. Why? Because this is economic issues, survival. You know, the parent who has 8 children, a single mother, is struggling to know how do I even buy new uniform for my standard, my grade 7. I'm being told he or she is in secondary, but I see going to that primary. So grappling with how do I decide? I have only 100 shillings. Do I go for even the unga would not be enough, but so for making some porridge. So there are many difficult choices that we're making. But what we are saying, with all these things, because solutions are never gotten when things are just smooth and plain. This is the right time to get the right solution. And getting that right solution, I would be appealing to the president. This is the time to rid education sector of unnecessary politics. Things which would only make people to toe the line, to koto. That, okay, if you bring an idea that unapinga serikali ama rais, so I think open it. Let it be an open space for candid discussion, interaction, and even as the working party is developing their report, which again, of course, indicate that they have interacted with the public in the various counties rather, and then they've received certain memoranda, which is good, but they should now allow that space where Kenyans themselves will distill and say, this one is not good enough. You've had, if it is CBC guys, you've had now almost 8 years thinking about it, preparing for it.
Rolling it out.
And then you land with a junior secondary school with no children.
With no teachers. With no facilities. You actually don't even know. Are they going to a new school, to the old school?
You're telling them that they'll be walking to the nearby secondary school
for
labs and all that. Those secondary schools themselves are ill-equipped. But you've not even looked at the insecurity issues around there. And by the way, you are transferring a lot of that cost to the parents when we as Kenya, in our own constitution, we've said basic education is free and compulsory. So how then do we again roll that back? And then look at how the registrations were going on. It is a registration that even the experts in the education sector would tell you they don't understand what's going on. They're just saying, please, let us go there and see if things will even out. I think education, for a country to be considered to be successful, start by checking its education sector.
100%.
Because education because that is what produces even the people that you'll see there. So if in itself it is so chaotic and so unplanned, so unpredictable, what do you think other sectors are like?
Imagine.
That is a big question that you'll be
Let's
asking
take a break
yourself.
at that point. It's 26 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. We're talking about reforming the education sector in Kenya. What's needed? We need to have a conversation around that. Boaz Waruku is a strategy and policy advisor with the Elimu Bora Working Group. He's our guest this morning. Ndu, Showmax.com.
Showmax.
Yeah?
It's giving.
So let me tell you the other thing about this inner give. For 300 bob, 1 month you get 2 months. 1 month, 2 months free for only 300 bob. That is kugive.
So it's
That
1
economy.
month. I get 2 months, so it's 3 months for 300 bob.
2 months for only 300 bob. 1 month you get 1 month. Usiongeze ingine. Unajiongezea discount.
One can try her.
You can keep trying. Sign up now and enjoy the best action, the best reality shows, drama, and more. Inner Give gets a new meaning. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. In a give Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuamoka. Toast to luxury. In a give single Cassie, girl power. Cheers! And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Haven't any fun yet?
Woo! In a give Kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
London Mulo DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, got the sugar, got the spice.
Yorada.
Yes.
I have missed you like hot hamburgers. Yeah?
Like hot hamburgers.
You know, bad boys give more money than you can count.
Hey, bad boys give more money than you can count. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock, but if I were you, I'd tune in.
Conditions in Nairobi, highs of 29 and lows of 16. It's 15 and sunny in Nakuru, highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 30 as well in a sunny Nyeri at 12. It's 14 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 27. And it's 26 and sunny in Mombasa, going to highs of 33. We'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's sunny at 27. 21 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 30, highs of 32. In a sunny Kakamega at 21. It's 21 and mostly sunny in Kampala, beg your pardon, highs of 28 and lows of 19, while cloudy conditions in Dar es Salaam at 27, going to highs of 32. It's 17 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 24 and lows of 16, while Lagos is mostly clear at 25. It'll go to highs of 33. 33 will be the high in a cloudy Kinshasa at 22. We are in the middle of traffic hour buzz of activity throughout most parts of the city this morning. Coming in from the Thika Superhighway at the Allsops Junction, there's traffic that's heavy there. Before that, it shouldn't be too painful. We're going to have a bit of traffic up there just around that junction coming in from Ruiru. Looking at this Holy Moo Road area, there's a lot of traffic here. Looking at the Northern Bypass, which seems to be moving all right, at least for now. The Eastern Bypass had a bit of an issue right around the junction of the AP Training College. We've got some traffic that's coming in from Gong Road, heading out towards Lavington and other areas. So traffic continues for most parts of the morning. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. What's going on where you are? Hopefully we can keep things moving this morning.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The conversation continues. This is a Situation Room live on Spice FM. On KTN Home and online, we live stream the show every morning on YouTube and Facebook. Spice FM KE is our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. It's Eric and Ndu. City is away, but we have his doppelganger in the studio. Everything plus the shirt.
Quite uncanny.
And sitting right where City sits.
I'm not qualified to sit where he sits. Okay.
Boaz Waruku is a strategy and policy advisor, Elimu Bora Working Group. We are discussing transforming education sector in Kenya.
Yeah, I'm looking at policies because I'm still on that policy issue. Because for me, the policy delivers the thing.
Yes.
Again, doesn't matter where, right? So all of these things that jump out at us that we then would attribute to a failing education system is the lack of the following of a particular policy. So then one must ask the question that does a policy actually exist? And I'll give you an example of things that have popped up this week so that people will now say it is failing. Well, why? Okay. What's the policy on school fees?
Yes.
When we say there's 100% transition, that means everybody must go to secondary school out of primary school, for example.
Yes.
We say it's free.
Yes.
But then there's still payment that is made.
What exactly is free?
What exactly is free? What is the policy? What does it mean? That 1 shilling should not come from a parent's pocket when that child is delivered to school. What is the working policy? Number 2, What is the policy on uniforms, for example? Everybody's jumping out of the woodwork doing their own thing, but it's a pain point for a lot of parents. What is the policy on that? When you talk about CBC, what is the policy for the delivering of this curriculum? There are certain things that you talk about which must be extra or co-curricular activities. Yes. What is the policy in a school where the infrastructure, for example, for the deliverance of this thing does not exist? What is the policy? And it may look as though we are saying it's too nitty-gritty, but for me, it has to be.
It's got to start from there. In fact, even looking back into what is the policy on teacher education, teacher training, teacher recruitment, teacher retention, teacher motivation. What is the policy on quality assurance? Right? All those things, if we had a policy document. So I've seen that there's an policy document for 2017, but this one is on the National Pre-Primary Education Policy. Right? Do we have a National Basic Education Policy at all that then looks at this is what our education system is all about, and this is how we shall achieve training or educating our children?
Thank you. And first, I'll agree with Ndu. I'll start from where she began, and saying that let's not be apologetic when we say we go to the nitty-gritties, because education is like surgery. You must look at it. Even though you come back to Eric when you were saying whether there's a composite thing that we'll call an education policy, and also still looking for it to touch it. Because I know the components of when I'm engaging and talking about the school fees. I know that we have a commitment nationally in our own constitution, in the Basic Education Act, and internationally, we are the first ones who even signed to the SDG 4, which prior to that, the Dhaka Framework of Action 2000, Kenya is at the forefront of that. Jomtien, 1990, Education for All agenda. How do we achieve it? Kenya's signatures are there. Incheon Declaration, 2015, the framework that now is guiding us towards education by 2030, that we should be ensuring that there's universal basic education, which is free and of quality, and that we should also be developing and expanding spaces in our higher education. All these things, I mean, they are...
Kenya ratified.
Kenya is not just ratified. Kenya had a leader role, co-chairing the SDGs with the government of Hungary. At the AU, where the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, Dr. Beatrice Hamatinjenga, Kenyan, seconded by Kenya, was the head there. So I'm saying it is not, as it is not a matter of do we know them, because we have taken a lead role and committed to them. So we should not now be coming back to discuss fee-free or free basic education. I say there could be documents in place, but what is the practice? And it is really when you continue to say, because when the policy that then would address, when we say it is free basic education, what do we exactly mean? I think the question also touched on that, to the extent that, of course, there are people who may bring other innuendos inside to confuse matters. And I know of those others who have even talking, you mean you want your children to be fed by the government, you want your children to be clothed by the government, so I say there's a way in which our policy framework should clearly delineate and demarcate those roles and responsibilities. And when we talk of free basic education, the tuition thing that we continue to see should be a gone case. The infrastructure fee that we keep on seeing coming in, and those ones should be a gone thing. In other words, we should be taking maybe a key. Let me give you the Nigerian experience. I know they are also still fumbling with it, but they institutionalize what they say basic education fund. the Uzbek, that's the commission that is overseeing that, they're saying that here is a fund where every year a percentage of the tax revenue is hived off and put in there. That money does not go back because we have emergency salary. No, exclusively for education. In other words, there's no return valve. And that money is loaded there. And from there, the Uzbek ensures that then we are going to, this is for infrastructure development. This one is going to support, because we also require to do further research. Research in the true sense, not this research we are doing in partial fulfillment of a bachelor's work, and then you look at who can help me do that. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying research that brings solution to the problems we have in the country. So I've given you that as a working example in Kenya, because if we were clear on that is the path we wanted to do, we would have been institutionalizing all this, so that by the time child goes to school, the parent is so clear. I'm not leaving my child. I'm not throwing the child naked to go to school, because now I have to ensure that they are clothed. But also, you deal with the issues of, even if it is school uniform and in that manner. Because school uniform, the problem we've had in Kenya, and I think it's a product of our education system, is every opportunity that presents itself, you start by, what do I extract from it? That is a wrong system. Yes. Why is that wrong? Because even the uniform that a little child is going to, you start by saying, can we have it given at the school level? And what is my catch? Can I be getting 20%? And say, or you say now, like I think the CS trade has jumped into it. And of course in Kenya is our first one. Because every CS, anyone can just jump in and tell you or give you direction. And you wonder where it starts and then they say, no, let us liberalize. And they can buy uniforms at all time. And I think this one would remind me of primary school and all that. I'm a rural boy. I grew up in Kanyalu, Homboga, that is in Homa Bay. And one thing I know that when also we were going to buy those uniforms, and when I see blue, I come shining in my blue. Then I realize that my blue is not like the other ones.
So uniform is not uniform.
So uniform is now not uniform. So in other words, because, these are things we've gone through.
Yeah.
So you design a proposition as part of a solution. That would cure that. But you do not do it
to
extract from it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this idea, this obsession with, even this what I still want to, can I blow it apart so that it is even more filled? Just ensure that once the standards are there, then you meet those standards. And to because you mentioned even on the CBC and all, but I'll say that maybe the Presidential Working Party would help the president evolve what would be a CBC thing. My position, 8 years is too much. You've wasted our children. Please, you did not know where you were going. Please, can you accept? Can we call the bluff? Can we say that we are taking these children for granted? For example, I have a boy who is CBC at that level. The children in my house are all my children. So when I say this, this is somebody whose work, who continues to ask me, Daddy, but we were recalled to go and clean the market because it was a national assessment. Or we did some national exam at grade 4. We've now done another grade 6 assessment. And so, but I thought the system we are replacing was too exam-oriented. And anyway, I'm saying this because I discuss a lot with those little ones. And so when they say, okay, because exam is also not meant to torture you. It is supposed to help assess the level of learning, how you've acquired knowledge. But when now each and every time you're taking away from exam, but you're bringing them to even more exams, and after that, then they are now even in deeper problems. They wonder, what was the value of that grade 6 exam? And then don't before you reach there, come to the grade 1. 10 subjects. What does that mean? a minimum of 10 textbooks.
Yeah.
Yes.
My sister or my daughter, I may be free to call you. So when
In grade 1.
when grade 1,
At
10
age 7.
subjects, at least 10 textbooks.
And one classroom notebook and one homework exercise book.
And that the notebook, the assessment rubric, so to call it. By the way, I have looked at those things and I say that is a whole day's work for a teacher. So when does the teacher teach? So I'm simply saying, let's call the bluff.
So we just say,
Did we
forget
re-
about it.
Sorry?
We say, forget about it.
I don't think we are ready for
We go
that.
back to Egypt.
I don't think we are ready for it. But if you know you're not ready for it, like I've told you what our grade 7 children are doing in school, because they are not teachers.
Okay,
Don't
so-
tell me that one teacher is handling those learning areas.
So we are not ready for it. So what do we do?
We knew that we had a problem with 844.
Okay.
We know, at least if we have forgotten, we can revisit what are some of these problems so that we fix and say we give ourselves a period to think through evolving an education system
Okay.
that would be suitable for us.
So say the president said, Boaz, I watched you on SpiceFM this morning and you said, let's call their bluff. It's been 8 years and this thing, in your opinion, is not working.
Yes.
So Boaz, what do we do?
I've simply
Revert to 844?
I've told you, get the 844 working for a period. Let us rethink this. Let's not continue pushing our children when they are not learning. Because right now, term 1 is going. And I told you, even a child who is born today in the morning has already started acquiring certain things. Time waits for no one. Time waits for no man. But even for women, it's even more worse. It doesn't wait for anyone. So it would be very disastrous if we fumble and continue just trying to move with these children, thinking they are learning. And we know, as of now, we know, unless somebody convinces me otherwise or convinces others, it is not me alone. Because when you do not have teachers interacting with those people, what learning is taking place?
Absolutely.
And you're seeing so many things. It's akin to, let me simplify this further. Let's take grade 7 as like the Form 1. It's like a Form 1, then you're saying, okay, at least we've posted some 30,000 teachers. Or 30,000, but I know 8,000 of them, it's because of attrition, dead, retired, and all those who have left. So assuming that each school, because we have over 25,000 public primary schools there. So I'm assuming that each school has one. That teacher is a maths teacher, is a biology teacher, is a physics teacher, is the Kiswahili teacher, and assuming that school has multi-streams, not just one class. And that's why I'm saying, can't we see that there's no learning taking place? The environment, the facilities and all that. Do we really just continue to say, the utopia and the hypothetical thing that there's a competency that is being competency from what and with what? From where? And nobody is doing what.
But isn't there an inherent problem? I mean, and for me, it's from the beginning. Because we could give examples.
I said conceptual,
over.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because here, and I'm stuck on this issue. We saw the other day.
Yeah.
If there's a policy in place and a body like SRC comes in, for example, and says, now, okay, we're going to reduce the amount of money that's going to be paid to ECD teachers. The policy then should be able to the practitioners of policy should then be able to come out and say, excuse me, if you do this, what you're doing is that you're loading a lifetime of frustration on these children. Because those who are going to teach, they are imprinting a foundation on these children, and you're taking away dignity by paying them.
Can I show you the
of
face of
money.
confusion?
So how then are you going to build a system whereby from the very foundation it is flawed? You've demoralized the agents of education. How do you do it?
Can I show you the face of confusion in Kenya? That the ECD teachers, SRC emerges and tells them, we'll pay you 7,500. But then you're told the National Police Service and the Prison Service, we are setting a task force to review
your pay.
I'm just painting for you the face of confusion in this kind of why, if we are not serious, because that has to do with leadership. Why it is important for us to be very clear. I said a teacher And by the way, at that very kindergarten, the lower level, that teacher is very important.
Extremely.
Very important. That teacher would infuse in that learner the kind of attitude towards learning, the character, the formation that you would see. Some of us have not realized that the era past 2010 is different from before. When under trees you'd find somebody who did not even go beyond Form 2 and all that, and saying, I'm available. Can I have space here?
Yeah.
And can I send the parent, the children to tell their parents, if they have young ones, to bring them here so that we start? You know? Beyond 2010, Kenya changed, and it changed significantly. Those who live before that should wake up and come to the 2023. In fact, after that, now this is the 13th year. In other words, early childhood care and development is a key component of our development agenda and needs to be planned well, including starting with the teachers. And I said, if you demotivate them, teachers not just at the kindergarten, teachers at the various levels. Right now, I tell you that there are teachers, I get feedback. Okay, let me not use the I more, because it's not me alone working on this. The feedback we get is such that even the teachers who had been trained to teach in the secondary high schools, who have now, they didn't have a job, but because now they're desperate, so they said, okay, can they volunteered, they accepted to be recruited to go to the junior secondary school.
Yeah.
So they're saying, but now we are in the junior secondary school, but the head teacher of the junior secondary school is the head teacher of the primary school and all that. So they start wondering. In itself, that is a demotivation. But two, the kind of engagement that they're being given. Some intern teachers, contract teachers, and all that. A teacher who has been trained, who went for the teaching practice, in as much as we have not changed the module for training what we now want as CBC, because the training of teachers has not changed.
It's the same.
It has not changed. It's still the way the 844 teachers are, all that. It's still the training going on. In other words, we've not changed at that level. So this is a teacher who is now coming back. Is actually now supposed to help the learners learn. And the teacher, you recruit them as interns, as contracts and all that, then you tell them, we'll induct you on the CBC curriculum. And that, you remember, I started by saying, who is this teacher who is teaching it?
Who is inducting them?
So in other words, I'm saying, I think Kenyans must just be, let us call it what it is, a package of confusion in education sector with no leadership at all that you can trust, that is going to drive this process. Please let us stop digging. We are in a big hole somewhere, and let us see how do we rescue.
Is that what you told the working party, the presidential working party? You said scrap CBC.
That that is part of what we packaged.
Okay,
I think I can make available. Ours is not a private report. Ours is a
but your principal recommendation was
public document.
CBC halt it.
We did the assessment and said, one, even the CBC, the foundational philosophy of the CBC is still not clear.
Flawed.
It's flawed.
Okay.
Preparation, we said, it's being rushed, and it's been rushed in a manner to exclude critical voices. And in fact, to intimidate. In fact, I can talk about this all over, not because Sosion is my friend and all that, but when at the time when Sosion was leading that, then you remember that part of the course why he was deregistered as a teacher. So when the critical voices are either isolated or annihilated, you probably do not have a way of doing. So we made those recommendations, and we said, one, financing. Have we even prepared on how to finance? Who has done the costing?
Who has done all these things?
Who has done the costing to know that that kindergarten child, to educate that,
gets the right thing?
And now all of a sudden 15,000 is being taken to
we get the message. We get the message is, let's have a national conversation about our education sector, and let's be open about it.
Thank you.
Boaz Oruku is a strategy and policy advisor with Elimu Bora Working Group. He's been our guest this hour. We shall invite him again and again. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The government is set to flag off the first consignment of value-added Kenyan teas to Australia on Friday. The development comes after Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi met with a delegation from the Embassy of Saudi Arabia, led by In a statement in the ministry, the meeting focused on enhancing collaborations between Kenya and Saudi Arabia on access to farm inputs by farmers. In October last year, President William Ruto flagged off the first consignment of Kenyan tea to Accra, Ghana, under the African Continental Free Trade Area Guided Trade Initiative. Ruto also announced plans to engage Tunisia, Morocco and other countries in the region in a bid to expand Kenya's tea export market. Now, former Mukurweni MP Kabando has cut ties with former Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance running mate Martha Karua's Na Kenya party. In a series of Twitter posts, Kabando revealed that he has since informed the registrar of political parties of his decision to break off from Karua's Azimio affiliated party, while noting that he has the utmost respect for Karua and Azimio leader Raila Odinga. Kabando added that he made the decision since he is allegedly not satisfied with the avenues Azimio is using as the official opposition party to keep President William Ruto's administration in check. Kabando joined Karua's political outfit in March 2022 in a bid to replace the then Nyeri Senator Ephraim Maina, who had set his eyes on the county's governor's seat at the August 2022 polls. He, however, lost the contest to UDA's Wamatinga Wahome. In foreign affairs, CS Alfred Mutua says that no Kenyan has been affected by the earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria. Mutua has also said that the Kenyan embassy continues to monitor the situation in Turkey and Syria to help Kenyans who may be affected, further expressing Kenya's readiness to help the nation.
We feel that as good Christians and good Muslims and good religious people and also as good people of Kenya, we have a responsibility to lend a hand to our brothers and sisters in these nations. Therefore, I'm calling upon Kenyans to join hands in extending material support that will alleviate human suffering, such as foodstuffs, clothing, financial, medical staff, among others.
And LCS Susan Nakumicha is calling for an audit of all medical equipment services across the country. Nakumicha has also put a notice to all contractors who were not servicing the machines. Speaking in Tharaka Nithi County, she revealed that some contractors have failed to follow up and maintain the equipment.
You cannot have a machine here for people to be knowing that there is a CT scan, yet they cannot get the scans done. So whoever the vendor is, please know your notice from me. If your contract comes to an end, you'll have trouble explaining why we need to renew it, because you have to make it work for us to be able to renew your contract. So whoever you are, please come to Chuka Hospital, find out what needs to be done. And in future, we want vendors who are responsive. We cannot have a machine down for 2-3 months or weeks, because there are people who need services.
Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki has further pushed for the CS to consider counties getting more health funds in order for residents to enjoy improved services.
We are seeking to have facility improvement fund ring-fenced in Tharaka Nithi County, kwamba ile pesa yote itakuwa kwa hospitali iingie kwa kiti ya hospitali na hizo pesa zitarudi hospitali. Kama kuna kuongeza pesa ya hospitali itaongeza kwa barabara, lakini pesa ya barabara inaweza ongeza ya hospitali. That way we will be able to make sure that we have more money to employ more doctors.
The Nairobi Expressway has marked a major milestone with 10 million motorists using the new road since it was opened in July last year. Moja Expressway Company CEO Steve Zhao said this shows the reliability and efficiency of the expressway. He expressed his gratitude to the Ministry of Transport and Kenya for their role in the actualization of the project.
As of today, the total number of vehicles that have used the Nairobi Expressway stands at 10 million. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our special thanks to the Ministry of Roads and Transport for seeing the need of having this revolutionary means of transportation.
Now, the Kenya Medical Research Institute has partnered with Japan's Nagasaki University to roll out an online biometric-based vaccination management system for infants in Kenya. The system, provided by Japanese IT firm NEC, will manage vaccination history and scheduling using fingerprint identification for newborn children and voice recognition for caregivers. The firm said that it won't only confirm the infants' identities but also manage vaccination histories and schedules, thereby promoting the implementation of appropriate vaccinations for newborns and children during the first 24 months of life. And Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has declared a state of emergency in 10 provinces devastated by 2 earthquakes that killed more than 5,200 people and left a trail of destruction. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
At a few minutes after 8 o'clock, traffic still continuing on the thicker superhighways coming in from Kiambu Road as well. The pictures coming in from Kiambu Road are not funny. I don't know, 5 lanes now, bumper to bumper traffic trying to head out into the city. It is quite something. Everybody trying to get to Muthaiga Square, just there under that flyover. So it doesn't look pretty right now, and it's red lights everywhere on Kiambu Road. So slowly, you get to Muthaiga Square. Hopefully then you get out towards the Pangani Underpass, which is moving slowly as well. All right, who's this? It's Langata Road, and it's moving slowly, getting out towards the Wilson Airport and then on to Uhuru Highway. We're looking at Rilo Dingo Way, pretty busy as well. Upper Hill, everybody's running into Upper Hill to run away from Uhuru Highway and then getting stuck. So, there's that. Jogo Road, also pretty busy. Likoni then spilling over to the interchange of Mombasa Road. Traffic still continues there. We keep an eye on things, guys. We are right in the thick of it on Wednesday morning. Where are you? SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the 8th day of February, and this February, Showmax is bringing you an unmissable deal. You pay for how much? 1 month. You get
bob.
a second month free, just like that. 300 bob gives you 2 months worth of Showmax. Bring you unmissable content, and that's why we're saying in a give. Showmax, in February, in a give nini? In a give content, in a give rich housewives, in a give documentaries, in a give sports, yes. In a give kila kitu. Huh?
Everything. One
to the other. Our guest for the next hour is going to be Felix Odiwar, aka Jalango, the Member of Parliament for Langata constituency. As he gets here, Ndu, let me tell you something. A story that has been published in The Guardian. The Church of England, aka the Anglican Church, is considering whether to stop referring to God as He, after priests asked to be allowed to use gender-neutral terms instead. The church says it will launch a new commission on the matter in the spring. Any potential alterations, which would mark a departure from traditional teachings dating back millennia, would have to be approved by the Synod, the church's decision-making body. The Right Reverend Dr. Michael Ipgrave, the Bishop of Lichfield and Vice Chair of the Liturgical Commission responsible for the matter, says the church has been exploring the use of gender language in relation to God for several years. After some dialogue between the two commissions in this area, a new joint project on gendered language will begin this spring. In common with other potential changes to authorized liturgical provision, changing the wording and number of authorized forms of absolution would require a full synodical process for approval. The bishop's comments came in response to a question asked at Synod by Reverend Joanna Stobart, a vicar, and about the progress on developing more inclusive language in service. It's unclear what would replace, for example, the term Our Father in the Lord's Prayer. You've got to be gender neutral. So now, in the Bible talks about God, he did this, he did the other.
So then,
God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. The Son also is now gender.
So it will be God the Father and Mother,
God the
God
Parent,
the Son and Daughter.
God the Parent, God the Child, God the Holy Spirit.
I'm tired. How many things do you want to change? This gender neutrality, political correctness, inclusivity, until what is it?
For God so loved the world that they gave their only begotten child.
Do you know, it's funny because it's exhausting.
So whosoever believeth in them shall not perish.
I'm even speaking my language. No.
And Jesus said, in my parents' house, there are many rooms.
You know, it's funny because it's ridiculous. How many do you want to, how many do you want to change? How many do people, it's okay, we understand. It's okay, leave it. You want to say that it must be inclusivity, neutrality, completion. Okay. What's his name? Morgan.
Who?
Pierce. On his
Pierce
show.
Morgan.
Pierce Morgan on his show. He said, you know what? I'm really getting tired of all of this. How much do we really have to change? Even the way you speak every day, now you have to think about who you're going to include or not include, who you have to think about and who you don't have to think about. It's becoming a mind-boggling exercise that I can't say it, I can't say her, I can't say she, I must say they. No, I think also there needs to be some kind of pushback. Everything now you say, they'll say no. Our Lord's Prayer again. No.
Our Father who art in heaven, is it gender neutral?
Why must you think? Why can't it just be that it is a prayer?
But I thought identity comes with how if I identify as a woman,
just it's okay.
See, I identify as a woman.
It is you.
Then you shall now refer to me as a woman. God refers to himself as man,
So
doesn't
refer to him then as that. This is the thing that I'm asking. How long will it be that there will be animals walking the streets, and then one day you now come and tell us you cannot call it an animal, you must call it something else?
Creature.
No.
Animal is demeaning.
There needs to be some kind of pushback. This thing is too much. One day they will even tell you that you cannot even open your mouth and a word, you must now nod. That's what the wait. It's coming. It's coming.
That's somewhere someone was saying, we cannot just talk about mothers anymore, right?
Please, Eric, please.
Talking about upbringing, raising children, breastfeeding. You cannot use such words. Okay, if you say mother denotes woman. Not every person who breastfeeds or can give birth to bear a child identifies as a woman. There's some childbearing persons who don't identify as women.
I beg you. Dodo, I'm actually begging you this morning.
It's confusing.
Don't vex my spirit. Don't vex my spirit. Okay?
Mheshimiwa Felix Odiwuor is the Member of Parliament for Langata constituency. He's joined us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
The last time we were here, I told you I'll be the Member of Parliament, and you doubted it.
No, we didn't doubt.
Yes, you did, Eric. You did.
You saw doubt.
Here, so I didn't
yes, you weren't here.
So I didn't doubt.
You read doubt on my face.
Yes.
No, that wasn't doubt.
And all right.
Here you are.
I'm good. How are you
Member
doing?
of Parliament. Very well.
I'm fine too.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante.
Yeah. What we normally do, and I was waiting for you to come, because we usually welcome our guest with the day's proverb. Ordinarily, it would be sitting, giving the proverb, but City is away. You're seated where he would be seated.
All right.
So today's proverb is from Malawi. And the proverb goes, the most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly. The most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly.
That's really deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
You can't actually.
That's a good one. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
How's it been?
Amazing. Very challenging. Really different from what I thought it would be, because primarily, the roles of the Member of Parliament. But it's much of a bigger call than just representation, legislation, and oversight. It comes and boils down to personal issues about the constituents that goes beyond what you signed for.
Yeah. It goes beyond. You went to Parliament knowing that you're going to be representing your people in Parliament. You're going to be oversighting the government.
Yes.
And participating in legislation.
Yes.
And now?
Little did I know I'll be an undertaker. You must be there in every single burial. And missing one of them becomes an issue because maybe competition went there. And it was a show that he stood with them or she stood with them
and
you're not there. So you become almost an ATM when like right now parents are taking children to school. The only money available for me is bursary to give out there, which is yet also to be disbursed to the constituency accounts. But if you see the queues, the lines, the requests from parents who want you to come through to take their children to school, and they're actually in need. So you step up in your little way that you can help.
So how are you doing that? Are you doing that out of pocket?
Of course, it's from personal pocket. Yeah, but you see, it's not something new to me. Remember, even when I was still in media, I had Jalango Foundation, and I was already doing a lot of charity, philanthropy, and all that. So it didn't come as a surprise. But I can imagine of new legislatures who went in and were not doing that in their former lives.
And they have to start this.
You could easily be bankrupt.
You could bankrupt yourself.
You will.
You know, when you were seated here during the campaigns and you said, when we asked you, so you understand the role of a member of parliament and you also understand the needs of your constituents.
Yes.
You said one of the things that you're very good at is forming partnerships.
Yes.
And you're going to solve all these issues with collaboration and partnerships.
Yes.
So what partnerships do you have now for bursaries?
Yes. I've had so many issues.
Hospital bills.
I've had so many issues come out. Like immediately I was elected, we had like 4 fire incidences that raved down several houses down there in Langata. At Southlands, we had fire. Raila Village, there was fire. There's fire in Hires Ward. And definitely when there's fire, we're talking about livelihoods being taken away from these people. So I called a few partners, definitely I will not mention because it will be free marketing. I still have radio and I know what it takes. And they came through for me. These are people who I am their brand ambassadors. A steel factory came through for me. We built houses for them. When we had we've had a lot of issues. We've had one of the biggest medical camps. And we've had a good partnership with a few people who also are. I was their brand ambassador in my previous career, and they still came through. Christmas just passed the other day. We fed thousands and thousands, something that I could not do myself because it will cost so much. I had partners coming up, and I've tried to use my past career to elevate me and partner with them to change people's lives.
It has been notable, and I know Ndu will come in and ask you a question, but I just want to throw this one there because I saw, for example, when you're talking about the partnership with the free medical camp, and some of the questions and comments that are coming up are these people influencing you by saying they're supporting your cause? So when they come up with matters that require legislation and all, or matters that then require oversight and you have to sit and question them, you'd already be compromised.
Of course, yes, everybody would say that. But these are people I've worked with in a very long time. And most of them don't even come from Langata. They just know the integrity that I did put out there during my time in my past career. And they still come through. For example, let me ask you. I work closely with a credit company. This credit company, the owners are not even here. You get? And from the partnership and the work we did in the past, they actually asked me, what can we do to support you? And they came through. See, one day maybe a case will be brought on the floor, a violation of maybe some
financial
legislations and all. You understand? I would still stand up and oversight them. I will not be compromised. Yes, because laws are laws. Yes.
Yeah. Do you find, I mean, it's often easy for us to look at a member of parliament, doesn't really matter where, and say, all these things you're engaged in, providing school fees here, attending burials, maybe we say, okay, it's not directly in your JD. On the other side of it, we're saying, look, representation, legislation, oversight. That is the thing upon which a member of parliament will be judged. But as you step into it now, do you see that there would then be a mix of the two, that it should be accepted that a member of parliament is going to have to go to that burial, is going to have to represent at that school fees, while at the same time being on the floor of the house and doing those three things? Is it time to accept that those things have to run concurrently?
You see, I could easily tell you that the other part of touching people's life and their need becomes even bigger than your main role, or your daily engagement with your constituents becomes even bigger than the main role that you signed for. It is even bigger than your JD. Let me tell you, in our parliament, the house, we're more than 300 of us. Let's say a motion is brought on the floor. How many of us will even get a chance to debate on it? You see, the Senate is much more easier. That's why you see a senator comes out vibrant each and every single time, because there are only 47 of them. And when a motion or a debate comes to the floor, it is easier to see who is participating and who is not. For the speaker to even see you, number one, in that floor, okay? It's so hard, over 350 of us, understand? So maybe you even had a contrary opinion about an issue. You might not even get a chance to debate on it. We even have times where you have to now just cross the floor, go all the way to the speaker, tell them that, sir, kindly, I've already plugged it, and on the queue. We are on queue.
Yes.
If you want to speak, you sometimes even come so early than even very early to just plug in your card, because it's electronic, and the queues and
fast come, fast
serve. So let's say you're number 20. Just number 20. Forget about number 100. By the time you get a chance to speak. But then when I leave that house, I already find some of my constituents right outside there. Outside the parliament. With an issue that needs, they would not even care whether I spoke in parliament or I didn't. But they're here with an issue that they need. You see? So I think they must.
So how do you balance those two? Because yes, there is addressing today's issue that this person has. This person has an issue today, they need to take their child to school. But also you understand that if nothing else changes, this person will still be needing school fees assistance next term. How do you balance that between that and the role that you have in Parliament of ensuring, for example, that there is adequate money that goes to the education sector, so that this person never has to worry about school fees?
So you see, Parliament, what everybody knows is the plenary. But Parliament at work is a Parliament in the committees, the different committees. Now, it's just making sure that the work that is done in the committees is at that point now participate fully in the committees. Let's say it's education, the education committee.
Yeah.
If you are not a member, maybe you can send a member there with an issue, and they'll be bold about it.
Yeah.
So we try so much to make sure that we work more in the committees than in the plenaries, what everybody says. Yes.
Then there's the politics of the day. I mean, so you've been elected, people have sent you to Parliament, they expect you to represent them, to legislate, to oversight the national government, and to come and sort out their issues.
Yes.
There's the politics of the day. You're in the minority.
Yes.
Your leadership in the minority is pushing another agenda right now, which is saying, look, we believe that our leader won this election.
and we do not then recognize the legitimacy of these people who are in power.
Yes.
And we're going to push for these people who are in power now to vacate office because they're not there legitimately.
Yes.
Where does that leave you?
It leaves me to stand with the party and the party leader and the party conversation at any given time. My support for my party leader, my party, has never been questioned in any given day. And
Except
I really know
until yesterday.
I really know why you called me here and why you're buzzing me throughout. Definitely because of what happened yesterday. Remember, one of the first projects of our president was actually in Langata when we launched affordable homes, which the start date is actually today, and that was the reason why I was called to State House yesterday. Everything that we discussed yesterday was nothing political. We discussed everything development oriented, and that was it.
Who called the meeting?
The president called the meeting. Called the meeting.
Who's the president?
Really? Who's
Yes.
the president, Latif?
I don't know. Raila Odinga has said that the Azimio leadership...
Who's the president?
The Azimio leadership
No,
does
who's the
not recognize... And you've just said you support the position of your leader.
Who is the president?
The leader of your party has said, we do not recognize Mr. William Ruto as a legitimate president in this country. And we also do not recognize any people that he has appointed to office in this country.
Yes.
And you don't recognize anything that he's doing in this country.
You see, when
so who called you
when this
to State
project
House?
when this project was happening, the first time, I called my party leader and told him that Mr. William Ruto then now is coming to my constituency to launch this project.
Yeah.
Do I go? Told me, if it's anything development, go ahead and be part of it.
Okay.
All right? And Baba himself has given all of us a key to work with the president matters development.
Okay.
You saw him visit Homa Bay the other day, Sian Kisumu.
Yes.
He was welcome with all these MPs, all these governors, and they even had meetings at State House. Now, that tells you one thing, that the key Baba lieutenants definitely have seen around President William Ruto, and I insist President, and I'll tell you why. And they would always question our loyalty because we're in the forefront. Every single rally, every single space where Baba's been, you've always seen me, okay? And yesterday, definitely the interview that broke off. I thought that I would only be trending when I was in media. This one is even bigger. I was trending at number one. Yet we were more than 9 MPs there. So these other 9 MPs, I was lucky to be part of the meeting throughout, as much as I'm from Nairobi. They told me to sit in to also listen because I come from the regions where they represent. And being a leader, it was only noble that I sit there. And they followed up on every single project that Ruto had promised when he was in Nyanza. Okay? And the reason for this meeting was actually a follow-up on this. Maybe it came at a time when everybody is questioning, and we are out there every weekend pushing Baba's agenda, then kaboom, you are at State House.
I must ask you, though, you've said something that when this housing project was being launched by His Excellency the President, you called Raila Odinga and said, should I
because we had just come from elections. And this was one of the first projects.
I understand.
Yes.
What if he had said no?
I would not have gone there.
What if yesterday the President had called you to State House?
Yes.
And what if you had called him again?
Yes.
And he said, well, we're being called for a follow-up meeting.
Yes.
Now, with temperatures going to where they have gone over the last 2 weeks, and he had said no, would you not have gone?
Of course, yes. Now, I didn't have a reason to call or ask because definitely I'd already given us a key to work if it's...
wait a minute. Let's go chronologically.
No, listen.
So there are two instances
Latif,
here.
Chronologically.
You've asked me. Listen.
Yes, there are two instances here. In the first instance, His Excellency the President is launching a project in Langata.
Yes.
And he obviously it is your constituency.
Yes.
You've called Raila Odinga and
Yes.
you've said, should I go? He says, anything to do with development, yes, you must go.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You've also given us the example of His Excellency the President going to Homa Bay. The first time, maybe the reception was not so good.
Yes.
Second time, he
Yes.
went and everybody was there, all
Because
and
because we had
Because
already been told.
essentially, Baba
that
said,
you know
you
what?
should go.
This is for development. Go.
Let's go. Right.
All right.
Now, since then, things have become salty significantly. Since then, things have been illegitimate government, this, that, the other thing. Had he told you then, in light of this, that we do not recognize 1, 2, 3, would you, Jalango, have not gone if Raila Odinga said, no, we don't recognize this guy, do not go?
I would still have gone. Since being development, I would still ask what the agenda. And if it still stands as development, I would still go, because the people of Langata do not care who's president or who's not. What they care for is the delivery of what the mandate they gave me. You understand? It is the people of Langata who will judge me at the end of this all. Jalango, we gave you a chance. Did you deliver our mandate? We had asked you, these were our issues. Have you delivered onto these issues? It is the people of Langata who will at the end of the day. Yes, politics notwithstanding. Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to go back to that issue that you mentioned, that you're always in line with your party leader.
Yes.
Right? So right now, in this instance, all right, today, what trumps the other?
Let me tell you something. We have a rally in Machakos this Friday. Friday or Saturday. The date is still not yet clear. I will be there, because now that's politics. We have to learn how to differentiate politics and development, as much as they run in the same direction.
What if the president holds the key to this development and, for whatever political reason, says, okay, guys, don't go there?
I'm waiting for one statement from Baba again that will also give me direction.
That says you don't
that
go.
Whether it is development or not, don't go. Then we'll have that conversation.
But Baba has said it clearly. We cannot and will not recognize the Kenya Kwanza regime, and we consider the Kenya Kwanza government illegitimate. That basically says, I do not recognize that William Ruto man as President of the Republic of Kenya, and I do not recognize that he is a head of government. So anything that he's doing, calling it development, calling it whatever, unless he's doing it in his private capacity, that's okay. But if he's doing it as president, I don't recognize.
So I think,
and not I think we includes you.
I think then Baba gave us a chance to work with him in his private capacity in case of development.
Let's take a break on that note.
Eric Klatif, how you doing?
Jalas, let me take you to Vipingo. All right. There's Vipingo development. You know Centum Real Estate.
Beautiful.
Yes?
Beautiful.
There's Vipingo development that they're coming up with very many acres there. They did phase 1 of houses. They handed over the houses to the owners. Now they're doing phase 2, and the phase 2 development is basically being rolled out. It's called the Palm Ridge phase 2. They are selling the units, and they're saying all you need to do, by the way, is put up a down payment.
Okay.
And after the down payment, then we can talk about how you can finish the rest of the payment.
Also, you can come up with a plan.
Yes.
Okay.
The phase 2 comprises studio apartment selling at 1.98 million shillings. You do 10% of that, right?
Wow.
198,000 shillings down payment. Start the rest you can pay. A 1-bedroom apartment selling at 4.05 million shillings. And 1-bedroom loft apartment selling at 4.05 million. 2-bedroom apartment selling at 5.85, and 3-bedroom for 6.75 in Vipingo. You've been there.
I think for Costo, you should go for the 3-bedroom.
Why?
You know, you don't go to Coast just to
be like that.
To be like that. You just need to have a good time. And definitely, if you've been to Vipingo, the Kilifi weather looks so good. And if you see what phase 1 they did with phase 1, because I've been there, it's amazing. Then definitely you can fly down to Vipingo. It's less than an hour from Wilson. You can always go to your house and just rest. And definitely the bigger one, just for the nice weather. I think it's
go for the 3-bedroom one.
Go for it. Go for it.
The 3-bedroom one, which is going for 6.75 million.
That's
all you need to do is pay 675,000 shillings.
That's a deal.
Down payment.
That's a deal any day.
Kabisa. To get more information, SMS the word Vipingo to 22365. That's Vipingo to 22365. Or you can call 0740 400 215.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of 1 in a give. Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuwa mocha. Toast to luxury. In a give single Cassie, girl power. Cheers! And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of 1 from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Sunny in Nairobi at 19, highs of 29 and lows of 16. We'll see highs of 30 in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 16. 14 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 30 and lows of 12. And it's a sunny day in Eldoret at 16, highs of 27 and lows of 10. Partly sunny conditions at 28 in Mombasa, highs of 33. And we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's partly sunny at 28. 21 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 28 and lows of 19. And we'll see lows of 26 in a mostly cloudy Dar es Salaam at 27. Looking into Johannesburg, it's cloudy at 18, highs of 24, and we'll see highs of 33 in a cloudy Lagos at 25. 22 and raining again in Kinshasa, highs of 33 down to lows of 22.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Unright. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. There's traffic on Mombasa Road a little bit as you're getting towards General Motors. Then you should be fine going towards Nyayo Stadium. We're looking at heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway, but it's just that Allsops junction take you out towards the Pangani underpass. Kiambu Road is heavy in and outbound traffic. It's actually inbound traffic because I don't even know how many lanes there are now. The Northern Bypass coming out of Runda, quite some traffic as well. Ruaka through to Two Rivers. We're looking at Red Hill Link Road through towards the Village Market, and then United Nations Avenue is also packed with inbound traffic. Okay, still in traffic hour at about 8:30. See what happens at 9. All right, SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
9, the conversation continues with the Honourable Member of Parliament for Langata constituency, Felix Oduor Jalango. We're talking about development and why some leaders went to meet with the President yesterday. You've already told us. So you were invited by the President and you are going to discuss the housing project. And in that meeting, you also found that the President had coincidentally invited leaders from Nyanza region as a follow-up to the visit that he had made to the region.
Yes,
and they were
yes.
discussing the promises that he made and how
Yes.
he was going to deliver on them.
Yes.
Did he ask you anything about what you've been doing in the rallies?
No, he didn't ask me. Actually, he veered off that direction, Kapsa, because he really wants our big support in his development agenda. So today, the contractors will be on ground. Then the Langata TVET at Madaraka has also been stalled because some variation on the BQ. So he allocated another 50 million. And how that is going to work well is that when the TVET is done and the construction is going on, then we have very short-term courses, like 3 months, where these young men can go to the TVET, learn some craft, tiling, plumbing, and they are the young men and women in Langata, and they will be directed straight to work on site because the housing project is a 3-year project, and at any given level, we'll need experts. So tiling, people will be doing painting and all this. We'll learn it at the TVET, then come straight to work at the construction site. So that's why we really needed both of the projects to run concurrently. Yes.
I think it's a brilliant thing.
Yes.
And just in terms of partnerships, what can actually work. It's unfortunate that the political overriding now puts a cloud over all of this, and that you can't really tell what is really happening with developments in this area. We've got to ask the question, though. It still goes back. I mean, we've been told also now there are cracks in Azimio just because the 9 of you went to State House yesterday without actually looking at, the underbelly of the story in terms of what was really, really happening. Does it matter? Does it really matter?
Let me tell you, we are at a very tough political end now. We are at a crossroad, we can't deny. The government is going on with its projects, and the opposition now, that is us at now, are calling out to resist. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, the government will always play very smart. For example, the day of the launch of the houses, when the president came to Langata the first time, with him was now the CS Lands, former MP. All right? So let's say that day I didn't show up. Would have been given a chance to speak on behalf of the people of Langata.
Yeah, former MP.
Former MP.
Former MP.
Yeah.
And what would they say? You gave somebody a chance to represent you, and he's not here. You denied this guy a chance, but here he is coming to see development. Now let me tell you something. The people right now just want development. Okay? All this will go on. Issues are out here. The cost of living is very high. People are going through a very hard time.
Yeah.
And they're just looking for anywhere to lean on, to bring hope, to make sure, to show that we are on the right track. Okay? So I can't lie to you. We are in a crossroad. To cut the crossroad down, Baba accepted and said, whatever we are talking about developmental issues or things to do with us, kindly go ahead and work for our people.
Okay.
Because apart from that, that's why we were elected.
Sure.
The first reason why we elected was to work for the people. We've already been given the mandate. So your job doesn't stop because you are in opposition. You still has to work for the people. You get?
Yes.
Langata has issues. I've not even been able to solve the water problem yet. You understand? They call me every single day on my phone. Like today is Wednesday, right? Today water is supposed to come to Langata. I might even be awake into the night, just confirming with the people left and right.
That Nairobi water is pumping water to
Is
Langata.
the water there? You understand?
Yeah.
How does that even come to my political end?
Sure. So then the thing is, when I ask the question, does it matter? You may be the first one in this manner over the last few weeks to actually say, you know what? All this political hoo-ha aside, what really matters is to be able to deliver a proper environment through which people's livelihoods can thrive. So the politics, really? Does it matter?
And I'll call you today with your name, Ndu. And I love it. Ndu, let me tell you one thing. There's no single day. Welcome to Kenya. I know you've been here for long. There's no single day. There'll never be politics in this country. They run concurrently. Development and politics. So it's just for you to know which direction and to what time are you where and how. If today I was in a rally somewhere with Baba, for example, and there's no water in Langata, the people of Langata will not care what I said in that rally. They would care about the water in Langata. You get? If today there was water in Langata and I didn't show up at Baba's rally, my ardent Langata supporters, ODM supporters, would not care
that you were not in the rally.
That there was water, but I was not in that rally.
Right.
You understand? So at any given we are on a race. That is the road down, electricity up. So let's move.
Let's move.
Yes.
Do you think that the politicians then confuse the citizens? Because, for example, so you went to State House yesterday, you had a conversation about a project that's taking place in your constituency, all right? And then on Sunday, you are in Machakos, and you will be there speaking and, championing the same message. We are resisting this administration. We are going to do everything we can to make sure that it's ungovernable and this administration gets out of office. We don't recognize anything. In fact, now you'll be wearing that uniform with a beret, and you'll be telling us all those things and saying, Ruto must go. But you just met Ruto, and you didn't tell him to his face that he must go. Now you're coming to tell us in Machakos, Ruto must go.
You see, soon and very soon, the electorate will be smart enough, or they're already smart enough, and they already know there's politics and there's development. Yes. Just that, simple. There's politics.
So we take the politics as entertainment.
It's not entertainment. Politics can never be entertainment.
So what?
Politics shapes
how can we
even as we speak right now. Even as we speak right now, politics will always shape every single way we live out here. You understand?
What impact is it likely to have for you to have a rally wearing the uniform and the beret and saying Ruto must go and saying let's start resisting, and maybe you even come up with a list of the things that you want us to resist, and say, unless Ruto is out of office, we are not going to do this, and the other. And then on Monday, you have to address the needs of your constituents by dealing with the Ruto administration.
You see, at that time, contractor
You're saying politics.
Work will not stop on ground. You understand? Work is not going to stop. Contractors being paid, contract awarded, nyumba zinaendelea, maji inakuja, barabara inatengenezwa, stima iko, watoto wanaenda shule. You understand? So these things have to run. Eric, why are you confusing do here? You've been here for the longest time. We've been in this journey not once or twice. We've been here. You understand? I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them and don't want to go back. To me, I find that this is what actually I was meant for. You understand? To work for the people, champion what they want, bring development, ask questions, stand there, resist, make sure that what you want is done. That's it. And that is where now I am. I'm in my kind of waters now. You know me when we were here. How many radio stations did I leave here before I settled in on a... If you're not giving me what I want, I leave.
You move to the next one.
I move. We move. Life is a movement. Life is a movement. Join the movement.
Yeah. So forget about all those things.
Forget about all
just move on.
Just move on.
I mean, the rest of the things are just drama.
And it's too short to make you really think that, you know what.
As a member of parliament in the minority in the National Assembly, of course, you must have your own, parliamentary, the minorities meeting and taking direction from your leader, Opiyo Wandayi, on how we are going to advocate our issues to make sure that there's accountability from this government. There is, of course, the cost of living. All those things that you talk about even in the rallies. There's the cost of living, the cost of unga, there's subsidized fertilizer, this and the other. What are you doing to make sure that these things are delivered? Now playing your oversight role in Parliament.
Of course, we must agree that Parliament has not had enough sittings to push some of these things, all right? Because how long have we been in? We've been in Parliament now 6 months. In these 6 months, there was a lot going on. Putting up the committees together, the swearing in. It was just settling into that house. There's a lot to settle in a government, for a government to start moving. So the first, I think, 4 months, if you are watching, there was very little work that was done in that. We
Yep.
hope that when Parliament now resumes, now we shall start tabling some of these issues and strongly debate on them and come up with directions that we are taking. Yes, but saying that this Parliament already has worked enough. We just had a clerk the other
There are
day.
big things that have happened, though.
Inductions. We just finished the committee's inductions the other day in Mombasa.
Yeah.
There's a lot that has been happening.
In that time, a lot has happened also in Parliament. For example, the IBC Amendment Act went through Parliament, went to the Senate, has been assented to by the President. Your party is opposed to it. For example, the the Financial Inclusion Fund.
Yes.
Yep. The regulations came to Parliament. They were passed by Parliament. The Inclusion
There's a lot
Fund
that has happened.
is out
Eric,
there.
we have to agree.
The supplementary
There's
budget
enough-
came to
there's a
Parliament.
lot-
There's a lot that's happened. And
There's a
it's
lot that
heavy.
has happened.
Yeah.
There's a lot that has happened, but definitely not what we can sit here and say that we've sat down and if you
So
hear
you've
a
not
lot,
had a position on them. Like you've not had a position, for example,
I
on the
would
matter
easily
of.
tell you. I would easily tell you that every single thing that we've done or championed out here as a minority has been in our rallies and all. But in Parliament, very little has come in to be debated on the issues that you mentioned, because most of the issues that have been tabled so far are just to make the government start running.
To move.
Move.
So there will be an opportunity.
There will be an opportunity.
Taking into consideration
There
when you
will be an
clock in at
opportunity.
20 and,
Yeah.
there's 350
we are coming back.
of you.
We are coming back in a week or two.
Yeah.
We will have a chance now to start now debating the real issues. Food prices have to come down. Subsidies have to come in. If that is the only, people are going through a very hard time, bro.
Those are
you
contained.
don't have to have a. Maybe I'm from
Those
us,
are
not from-
contained in
Yes.
a supplementary budget.
Of course,
okay?
yes. Yeah.
The supplementary budget has been brought to Parliament. Now, what kind of voice have we heard from the minority on the issue of the supplementary budget, on the content of the
Of course, yes.
supplementary budget that talk about
we are having a
the
PG.
subsidies?
We are
These
having-
are the fertilizer subsidies.
We're
comes
having
in.
the party-
This is the one that's allocating 12 billion
yes.
shillings to the, what's it called, not the Huduma Fund, what's it called? The Hustler Fund.
Hustler Fund. Now we are going for our PG this Thursday. This Thursday, tomorrow, we are starting our PG. And definitely, we will have a voice from that on our take on all this. Yes. That's me. PG is from tomorrow.
It's from tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes.
During campaigns, I guess it's the time where promises, are flying everywhere. There's certain things you said. There's certain things, you said you would do, or at the very least, said that you would like to do.
Yes.
So people are waiting, to say, okay, he said he was going to do this. He said he was going to do this, or at least agitate for this to be done. Would you say you're on course?
We are on course. One of the first things I ever said was definitely making sure that the issues of bursaries, for example, is transparent, okay, open, free, and fair. That's why when I was issuing the bursary forms, I did have the different wards coming to my office in different days. Then we did all that openly. Everybody who came got a chance to have a form. We are clearing all that to make sure that the legit people, because we had double entries, double applications, you just know Kenyans at the end of the day. And it will just be that again. And I even added more funds in it and decided the 100% that is given for education, this time let it go for bursaries. That is around 50 million Kenya shillings. It will all go that. It's a promise I did put out there. I did say that this is going to, during my time, Langata's water issue will be a thing of the past. Now, we've been pushing through the Nairobi water and definitely the county to make sure that the Northern Water Corridor Collector is complete probably by February, end of this month. And you saw Sakaja's commitment into that. And when that is done and we have the new infrastructure that now supplies Langata, that will be a big win for me. You understand? We said we'll have a food program for those people who are, Langata, we have so many slums. And that is already happening. We already having that happening even before I build the kitchen that I promised that I will build for food for education. Now, food for
So
education.
this is for school children.
This is for school children. What this will do, I'm putting up a community kitchen in partnership with Food for Education that will see 10,000, almost every single child in Langata, every day, have food served in school. Now, what that will do, proper concentration in class, retention, and even more enrollment. Because we have children from the slums who don't show up to school to go look for food. And if they
You said
are
about
assured-
10,000.
More than 10,000.
More than 10,000
Yes.
school-going children.
Yes, in
being
Langata.
fed. And this is in public and private schools.
Public and private, provided you, and both is secondary and primary. It's a model that I've borrowed from KJ, Embakasi South. It's
Not Embakasi,
Dagoretti.
Dagoretti.
Dagoretti South, and it's working very well. And it's one of the key projects I've put out there.
How do you fund this? How does one get such a thing moving?
Now, this works in the most beautiful way. I think it's one of the things that is so beautiful. I didn't know. It's a very beautiful project. Now you put up this kitchen, okay? This kitchen, that we have subsidies from the county government.
Okay.
So a meal costs 30 shillings, all right? The county government is subsidizing for up to 26 shillings. So the parents pay 5 shillings only. In any given day, the parents maybe pay 100 shillings per child. So this will save them 95 bob. So how do the parents put out, pay for this? So there's a gadget that they load money on. It's like a watch. So when your child comes, all they have to do is to tap, and it is 5 shillings is deducted, and they have their food.
meal.
Can you imagine the burden you take away from the children, from the parents, when all from 100 shillings, now they only have to pay 5 shillings. So this project, probably by April, it will be up and running in Langata.
So Sakaja's input is 27 bob per plate.
26 shillings per
26 bob per plate. And
Yes.
this is coming from the county government.
County government and
Right.
also the government.
And the national government.
The national government.
Is the CDF contributing anything into this project?
No, what we are contributing is the building of the kitchen.
Okay.
I've put out, the kitchen costs 23 million shillings, but I've already put out 17 million shillings into this. In this financial year, 2023-2024. So I want to fund it. I want to put 17 million in the first disbursement of CDF. The first thing will be bursaries, then the next thing will be the kitchen. Yes.
How many children do you think ought to benefit? Right now, you're starting with about 10,000 or so children.
We've put out 10,000, and the school, we had a meeting with all the head of schools, head teachers of Langata primary schools and secondary schools the other day at my office, and we're still working on the estimates, the numbers of the children that will be there. Now that we are even having, there's a new year, so that children that have transferred to other schools and all. So we are yet to get now the new numbers cumulatively.
Okay.
Yes, but we are planning for that kitchen to feed at least 10,000 people.
There's just about 45 seconds.
Yes.
And I just want to address a report released yesterday by education stakeholders says 4% of schools in middle and low income urban settlements are public schools. That means about 96% of schools in your constituency, for example, in the slum areas, are private. Are you planning to set aside money from CDF and championing the national government to build public schools in your constituency?
The problem we have in Langata is land, land in the different wards. You see, like a place like High Rise Ward, Joshua Loom is the only public school. But with the new affordable houses, we've had to put up a school in there. At least now that is the first school we are doing. Then I'm completing. If you follow me on my socials, I was at Kongoni and we're pushing for the completion of the project, Kongoni Primary School and Secondary School. We're expanding. A lot of what we want to do is not to build new, it's to expand on what we have.
On existing infrastructure.
On the existing infrastructure.
All the best, man.
Yes.
All the best. It's encouraging to see that you are already on the ground and working and looking at how to address the needs of your people.
Yes, that is why they elected us, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nice meeting you.
Same here.
Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Felix Oduor Jalango is a member of Parliament for Langata constituency. He's been our guest. He'll be here again soon. Good morning, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Rinzo. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has welcomed World Bank's move to support the Hustler Fund in cushioning the vulnerable in society. This comes after the head of state held meeting in State House with a delegation from World Bank led by Regional Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa, Victoria Kwaka. He said the technical assistance from World Bank will go a long way in making the fund more inclusive and transformative to millions of ordinary Kenyans. On a part, Kwaka acknowledged the bank's work-in-progress climate resilience agenda that is based on the current drought. The government is set to review the borrowing history of close to 6 million subscribers to enable them access more money. President William Ruto said the Hustler Fund will review its 18 million users' borrowing history and after every 4 months and award them with a financial grade. And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua held a reconciliatory meeting with the leadership of Meru County. The meeting aimed at finding an amicable solution to the leadership problems that has bedeviled the county since last year. So the second in command engaged with Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, Deputy Governor Mutuma Mithingia, Senator Kathuri Murungi and Speaker Ayubundi. The Deputy President has separately held meetings with elected members of the National Assembly and the Senate from Meru County in an attempt to understand what ails the county. Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has been at loggerheads with Meru County MCAs who were accused of nepotism, illegal appointment and unlawful dismissals and usurpation of the Constitution. And Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has warned cartels brewing and manufacturing substandard alcohol to cease the illegal business immediately or face the full force of the law. Kindiki said cartels behind the killer brews have no difference with the tourist groups, saying the liquor has led to many deaths, especially in Mount Kenya region. Kindiki ordered chiefs and their assistants to be at the forefront of fighting illegal brews at the local level. And Gilgil MP Martha Wangari has pointed an accusing finger at the Ministry of Education over the current confusion among students joining junior secondary schools. The MP promised to raise the issue in Parliament next week when they resume sessions, noting that the competency-based curriculum was turning out to be a major headache for parents. She pointed to the directive that students joining junior secondary schools acquire new uniforms and learning materials, terming these as unattainable. Wangari noted that due to the harsh economic times coupled by the drought, many parents could not afford the demands being met by schools as students transitioned to grade 7. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has kicked off corruption risk assessment of the county government of Siaya. Speaking during the launch of the exercise, EACC Commissioner Cecilia Mutuku said the risk assessment will not water down the ongoing investigations into financial impropriety within the institution. She said that the exercise was aimed at ensuring that proper mechanisms of enhancing good governance and accountability were put in place to enable Siaya residents get the best from the devolved government. Mutuku said public and state officers were expected to uphold national values and principles of governance as envisioned in the Constitution. And the government says basic Arabic, Saudi culture and laws will now be part of the reviewed pre-departure training curriculum for Kenyan migrant workers destined for Gulf countries. The move, announced by Principal Secretary, State Department of Labour and Skills Development, Geoffrey Kaituko, follows concerns raised by their Gulf counterparts that most Kenyan migrant workers lack basic knowledge of their employment contracts, the culture, laws, and Arabic language. In a meeting with private employment agencies and home care training institutions, PS Kaituko said the enhanced curriculum will help equip migrant workers with knowledge, information and skills which will enable them to settle down at destination countries. The Kenya Medical Research Institute has partnered with Japan's Nagasaki University to roll out an online biometric-based vaccination management system for infants in Kenya. The system, provided by Japanese IT firm NEC, will manage vaccination history and scheduling using fingerprint identification for newborn children and voice face recognition caregivers. The firm said it won't only confirm the infants' identities but also manage vaccination histories and schedules, thereby promoting the implementation of appropriate vaccinations for newborns and children during the first 24 months of their life. And the death toll of devastating earthquake in southern Turkey and Syria jumped to more than 7,800 people as rescuers worked against time in harsh winter conditions to dig survivors out of the rubble of collapsed buildings. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan declared a state of emergency in 10 provinces, but residents in several damaged Turkish cities voiced anger and despair at what they said was a slow and inadequate response from the authorities to the deadliest earthquake to hit Turkey since 1999. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Still in traffic hour this morning, and quite some of it still coming off of Thika Superhighway. Just past the Utali Drift is where you see most of it now. That junction coming in from Allsops, at least that has been taken care of, I guess, by the fact that everybody has arrived where they're going. A little bit on Kiambu Road, actually not a little bit, quite a lot on Kiambu Road right about now. Let's take a look at Mombasa Road. Not too bad inbound traffic. It was heavy on Langata Road. It's looking a little bit better now. But then there's this, and still continuing on Raila Odinga Way, then getting in through Gong Road. That is some traffic. Southern Bypass not looking too bad. Let's keep an eye on things. We should be out of traffic hour in about half hour or so, and then the morning should move along swiftly and smoothly. Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE, on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way
to the final hour of The Situation Room today, Wednesday. We are here until 10 a.m. Yeah, we've been telling you about Showmax. So say again, Ndu.
Yes.
Showmax in a give.
Give. It's giving.
Yes.
In a give.
300 shillings.
Extra month free. 300 shillings, 2 months of viewing. Anything that you can view. Documentaries, series, movies, news, sporting events, everything. 2 months for 300 shillings.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that.
You pay 300 bob today, you get 1 month subscription and an extra one free, simply because you listen to The Situation Room today and you heard us telling you to do it. Just go to www.showmax.com and subscribe. We have a new guest in the studio, and this is the Grand Mullah himself, Senior Counsel Nasir Abdullahi. He's our guest. We want to talk about the state of the nation. So Joe Biden has just delivered the state of the U.S. nation. And Nasir Abdullahi is here to deliver the state of the nation, the Kenyan nation. We welcome him the way we welcome our guests. On behalf of C.T. Muga, who left me with this daunting task. So he says the proverbs for this week, Grand Mullah, are from Malawi. Today's proverb: the most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly. The most fragrant of flowers are eaten by the green fly. Does it resonate?
Looks interesting. Let's see it.
Yeah, it does resonate. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
Yes.
Not doing badly at all.
I can see that.
We're healthy and we thank God. A lot's happening in the country. I mean, the last time you were here,
we were talking about the politics of this country, how the politics of Kenya is wired. We've gone into an election. Out of an election, we have a new government in place. We have new governors, new members of parliament, new senators, MCAs. Basically, we have a new administration in office. There's a lot that was promised by this administration, and they said that they would deliver, and Kenyans are looking and wondering, all right, are you on course to delivering? There's a lot that was promised by those who are in the minority side now in the national politics, and who are saying that we would push for these ones to be enacted. Those are questions that we ask. Also, the wheels of justice are turning. Last year, Said Juma Chitembwe was suspended and a tribunal appointed to investigate his conduct based on the allegations. Yesterday, the tribunal returned its verdict and they presented a report to the president. They say they recommend that Said Juma Chitembwe be removed from office. This is right down your alley first. Okay, so what say you?
In relation to all those issues or just in relation to Said?
Let's start with the first
Chitembwe.
one. The first one.
Yes. Chitembwe, by the way, he was my classmate in the university. From, first to third year, then we went to the School of Law, then he started a law firm in Mombasa. Then I think he became a judge just before the new constitution, came into effect around 2009, 2010, somewhere there. But, I know Said Chitembwe, and I know I've been in the justice sector now for almost 30 years. And Said Chitembwe is like, there are worse judges than him, that, nobody's touching. There are guys who makes Chitembwe looks like a saint, because they do all kind of things. There's no accountability in the judiciary, in terms of holding judges and magistrates accountable. The system is broken. It doesn't work. It's only when, something very big like Chitembwe, because Chitembwe, there was a lot of videos, I think, made by Sonko. It's only when the public is outraged that the Judicial Service Commission takes action. But the justice system doesn't work. It's broken down. The JSC doesn't work. It's broken down. Complaints are not processed in time. They are not taken seriously. So Said Chitembwe is an outlier. It's one case, that...
You're saying he's among the clean ones?
Relatively clean. You can imagine how dirty the system is.
You've been quite vocal about that. You say it all the time.
I say it all the time.
A mess.
Nobody takes me seriously, unfortunately. But I told you, I practiced law for 30 years. I have never seen a corrupt judiciary of today than any other time in my career. Really? I practiced in the 90s when Moi was, supreme, when he used to control courts. But those times, the courts were political, and they were, corruption was there, but now it's the norm. And I tell guys, actually, young lawyers, I say, we develop, we have developed such a thick skin that you can argue a case knowing that the judge is bribed, and you still argue it so forcefully. You need to be trained. Because you become a special kind of a human being. You know that the judge is bribed. He will rule against you, but you will do your best and pretend that it's not bribed.
So why doesn't anybody else complain?
Corruption in the judiciary has... people have lost... they have lost faith. It has been normalized. It's normal now. Yeah. If you hear some of the stories, people think it is weird, but people lose a lot of money. A lot of money.
Nasir, the Constitution is only 12 years old, okay? With the enactment of the Constitution, and even just before that, there was this whole attempt to clean up the judiciary. The radical surgery by Justice Ringera, all that. And then the Constitution comes in, and we bring in Sharad Rao. Let's vet all the judges and magistrates, and let's make sure that only the good ones are left in office. And many are removed. We have the Judicial Service Commission that then now looks at, we need to increase the capacity of our judiciary. You were in the first Judicial Service Commission in the Constitution. You hired many judges. And subsequent JSCs have hired many judges and looked at the conduct of other judges. Are we saying in 12 short years, we've actually come from a moment where we were hopeful of sorting out a system to actually leading it into more rot?
Actually, I tell guys that no country in the world has made attempts like Kenya did in cleaning its judiciary. And no country has spectacularly failed like Kenya has failed. I mean, it's not for want of trying that we're in this state of affairs. Kenya has really tried to clean the judiciary, I mean, we had the radical surgery that removed 50% of the judges of the High Court and the Court of Appeal. We had the vetting process, which was not as effective as the radical surgery, but still vetted the judges. But, you can't reform the judiciary in isolation of the larger body politic, I mean, the executive, people steal every day. Parliament, people steal every day. Government employees, people steal every day. Why do you expect the judiciary to be clean? In Kenya, see, they say you eat where you work.
Well,
so the judiciary,
the judges work in the judiciary.
It's not an exception. When we wwere when I was in the first JC, we were very idealistic. We thought this is a new constitution. We will reform. We employed people we vouched for.
Yeah.
I remember like the Supreme Court when we were creating, we said, let us see guys, some heavyweight academia, guys with certain gravitas. We ensured that, the judges who are there are completely excluded. The people we employed are worse than the people we left. That I can tell you. For me,
so how come?
For me, it's
how
7 people.
Happen?
There are some guys I know. Someone in my classmate, we have practiced law together. He is failing. Then you take him to the bench. He becomes the worst person you ever see.
What changes?
Why? What happens?
It's the greed. I mean, you see. There's court cases involve a lot of money. There's a lot of things. There are billions of claims, and what is you see they get just enticed. And also, to be fair, I mean. Lawyers are the ones who pull the deals. They are the ones who know the judges. Some litigants, of course, know the judges. And everybody wants to, have a shortcut. But to be fair, there are many good judges, Very, very good judges. Very honest, very fair. And I always make the point, especially the Court of Appeal. I mean, if you go to the Court of Appeal, you get justice. The court now is a little bit efficient than it was last time because now there are 30 judges. They want to increase more. But it is, it depends on the individual judge. There are people when you appear before them that you will get justice according to the strength of your case. And some, that no matter how good your case is, it's a lost cause. Yes.
Unless you're a higher bidder.
Nowadays.
So is it that the law profession then is the one that is rotten?
Also,
because you said
sometimes sometimes it helps who is in the leadership of the judiciary. For example, when Willie Mutunga was there, I mean, he was well respected. He used to talk about corruption a lot. I tell guys, when Maraga came, you will not see a single speech he made against corruption. You will find it. The last day when he was leaving farewell, he made some speech about corruption. He never talked about corruption. The current CJ is even worse, in all fair. I mean, she's clueless, to be fair.
With regards to corruption?
Of course. Have you seen her talk about corruption in the judiciary? She doesn't. Yes. I mean, she talks about children rights and those kind of things. She talks about access to justice. What justice do you access in Kenyan courts? There's no justice. She sells a product she has no idea about. Yes. When you tell Kenyans, we want access to justice, you are telling Kenyans there's a product called justice.
That can be delivered.
That can be accessed, in the shortest time, in the nearest distance, all those kind of things. But the Chief Justice doesn't know any idea about what kind of justice the Kenyan courts dispense. And that's the tragedy. Yes.
What makes you say that she doesn't have an idea?
Because I have eyes and ears. I see and I hear. And I have not had anything during her tenure about fighting corruption. When we have corruption in the highest court, in the lowest court, in the middle courts, everywhere. Yes. And I mean, it's for me, this is a national crisis, but nobody talks about it.
So you talk about, the corruption in the judiciary is giving an image of what the rest of the country looks like. As he said, The executive, there's a problem. Parliament, there's a problem. Why should we be surprised that there's a problem in the judiciary? So then giving us an inroad now into what's happening in the country today, where everything seems to be going wrong. You know, people are hungry, there's drought, children, school can't afford, you know, everything is rising in terms of cost. What would be your thought about how action then provokes this kind of situation, or inaction provokes this kind of situation?
Actually, it's inaction more than action, because of course there are institutions and organs that are supposed to fight, you know, corruption, bad governance, all, and brings a certain amount of accountability. Those institutions don't work in Kenya. I mean, if you look at the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, they have a huge mandate, they have huge resources, they don't follow. If we look at, for example, the Kibaki, the Uhuru administration, you know, a minister, he lives in South Sea. There's nothing wrong with South Sea. I used to live there a lot. I mean, you have a good house of maybe 10, 15 million or 20 million. You are made a minister. The next time you're out of the neighborhood, you move into a palatial home either in Modaiga or Karen or Runda, and nobody asks you where you got the money. Yes. The moment, then the next time is he acquires others, he acquires properties, he does this, he invests this. That lack of accountability is what is destroying this country. Yes. I mean, I would love to see someone who is a minister, lives in South Sea, stays in South Sea during his term, and, you know, retires
in South Sea.
In South Sea, yes. But when you are, for example, a university lecturer, I was a lecturer once upon a time, and your salary is 80,000, 90,000, you live, for example, in Ngong, then you are made a minister, then you move into Karen. Theft of public funds is not punished in Kenya. Yes. And it has not been punished. Although there are institutions who are supposed to punish that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens? I mean, with those, we've seen, for example, in the last number of months or weeks, it's the issue of all the cases that are being investigated, many of the cases that are being investigated, some being prosecuted in court, being withdrawn, or them collapsing in court. And the major reason is weaknesses in the link between the ODPP and the DCI. What does that tell us? Is it the collapse of the institutions, or is it manipulation of the institution?
No, I think there's a bigger problem that nobody addresses in terms of this issue, is that during the last 5 years, you know, institutions, you know, literally broke down. And President Uhuru was everything, in my view. He was the DPP, he was the Attorney General, he was the President, he was Parliament, he was the opposition. And most of these cases that were taken to court were taken because he ordered them to. Yes. It's not because, you know, someone either investigated or the DPP made an independent decision. President Uhuru ordered these officers to take this course with a gun in their head. Yes. It's not because there was evidence or anything, but it was having a certain political objective. Yes.
So let's look at the 19 cases that have been dropped in the last 3 months. 19. And that they were saying that there was either some elements of corruption, there was some kind of mismanagement of funds. Are we saying really that these individuals, there was no stain whatsoever, there was no misappropriation, it was a witch hunt by the presidency, the previous one?
More than anything, it was a witch hunt, yes. More than anything. Of course, there may be certain elements of misbehavior, but in my view, and I think I'm correct, there was no credible case that could be taken to court, but still matters were taken to court on the instructions of the former president, yes.
But these offices that we're talking about are actually independent offices.
But can you know, independent?
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is an independent constitutional office.
You know, I tweeted about this many years ago, and there was credible evidence at that time that most of these officers who were holding this office, from the DPP, from the anti-corruption, from the CID, each of them were forced to sign a letter of resignation.
At the point of appointment?
No. At a certain point in their tenure, held by a certain office on the instruction of the presidents, and people who are working in those independent offices with a letter of resignation somewhere. And everybody knew that.
So how come nobody talked about it? Why were these officers?
We talked about it.
Why were the officers not resigning, actually?
I mean, that's personal. I don't know why they didn't resign. But people were working on the premise that they were holding certain constitutional office, but with a letter of resignation signed, I don't know whether it was dated, but held by certain offices of state.
All it needed was just to add the date.
Yes, yes.
What if the numbers are traced for some reason? And that these amounts, for example, that the EACC says were misappropriated or missing, that there actually is a dent, that this money is actually missing.
No, there's a lot of theft in this country. But
Isn't
you see.
But we're saying that it's not these particular, because I'm still on that, Ahmed Asir. I'm still on that. They were saying it's not these individuals, because it's baffling to me that so many cases that have been brought before the court, there were charge sheets in some of the cases. People's names have been dragged through the court of public opinion for months on end. And then a new administration takes power, and then voila, they're dropped.
But these cases most of them are against private individuals.
Yes.
Most of them are on tax issues and those kind of things.
Yes.
That is when, that's not the corruption that's killing Kenya. The corruption that's killing Kenya is someone who has a powerful office, pulling the strings, making a lot of money, stealing here, there, stealing there. I mean, if it's tax, you can always sit down on matters of tax and agree upon what you should pay.
Yeah.
But what's killing, for example, is that I'm a powerful minister in the office of the president. My budget is, I control a budget of almost 500 billion shillings.
Yep.
I used to live in Siyokamau. Then I start buying properties, 500 acres somewhere, 500. That is the corruption that is killing Kenya. And during the tenure of President Uhuru, not a single person, especially the last 5 years, was taken to court on the basis that, you used to live in Siyokamau. How are you living in Muthaiga now? Yes. And that's what's killing Kenya.
What are we talking about here, Nasir? We, 12 years of a new constitution, renewed hope. I was in Uhuru Park on that day in August 2010 when we were proclamating the new constitution was being promulgated. And there was this new air of a new dawn, a new country, the new flag being hoisted at Uhuru Park. And everybody's thinking now we are moving. And everybody's talking about the new hope because, one, we have sufficiently removed power and focus from one office called the presidency. We have distributed it into institutions. We have even created those institutions to be independent and safeguarded their independence. And now here we are saying that we actually didn't do it. It was just smokes and mirrors. That the president is still the one who is actually controlling all these independent offices.
It's true. That's the way it is.
So what happened? How could this have happened? Is it the spirit or the letter of the law? What?
No. Sometimes also it depends on the individual. If you want to be a straight person, you will be a straight person. If, for example, a judge, there are many judges who decide not to take bribe. It's a personal decision. There are guys who decide they will take bribes. But there are certain institutions that should provide oversight.
Yeah.
Yes. It is those institutions that are failing, not because, the president is controlling or not, but the person who, for example, there's a judge, they, like other Kenyans, they buy properties everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's easy to tell them, how are you buying this property? How can you afford your kids to go to a private school and you pay, 1 million shillings a term, and you are a judge who earns 800, 600. So these are things that need to be investigated. There are offices that should investigate, but they are not doing their jobs.
Why?
I don't know.
I see a conspiracy, not only with those officers, but even with those that are supposed to be oversighting. And oversighting here is not just the National Assembly. Oversighting here is also other institutions. The Law Society of Kenya, right? Created by statute. It represents this profession that should be speaking out. Law Society of Kenya, quiet. ISPAC, the Institution for Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, quiet. Corruption happens. It's money issues. ISPAC, quiet. So is it a collusion by all these institutions as well? Just to say, let us sit back and let's enjoy.
Actually, it's not. Leave alone those, quasi-private institutions like the Law Society and ISPAC. Like the police. And I tweeted this actually last week. I said, any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it is corruption, whether it is murder, whether it is petty, that is his job.
Yeah.
But in Kenya, the Inspector General moves into action either when petty crimes are committed or whether, a big politicians order him to do. But it is his job, for example, if he sees Ahmed is a university lecturer and he has bought a big property somewhere, it is the police to investigate. I mean, the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission is a very powerful organ. I mean, they do nothing about this. There are other organs, like the Judicial Service Commission, all this. Okay. We have a beautiful constitution, but we have an institutional decay caused principally because of the people who hold the offices don't see their functions in proper perspective.
Let's take a break. When you come back, you'll tell us you're a supporter of the Kenya Kwanza administration, whether they are actually committed on eradicating corruption or fighting corruption at all, or even just focusing on looking at corruption. Or they want to do like what you're saying, the Chief Justice is focusing on delivering of justice, this, that, and the other, and not mentioning corruption. It's 9:30. The Grand Mullah Menasir Abdullahi, Senior Counsel, is our guest this morning. We're talking about the state of the nation, the drought, the economy, the politics, the corruption, everything else. His opinion and his thoughts on all the things that are happening in the country. Menasir, Vipingo. Centum Real Estate is developing that estate in Vipingo. It's called the Vipingo Development Corporation. They have done a number of houses. It's going to be a mixed use. There's industrial, there's residential, there's commercial as well. So they're doing the residential bit and they've been selling houses. They're now selling phase 2 of the Palm Ridge estate. They are from studio apartments starting at 1.98 million shillings to 1-bedroom apartment, 1-bedroom loft apartments, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom at 6.75 million shillings. And what they're saying is we're not dealing with the corrupt people. We're actually allowing people, ordinary people, hustlers, to be able to own these properties. Pay a 10% down payment, and then you can pay the rest in equal installments. I know many of your friends. In fact, even you can buy like 3 of them just as an investment. Yeah. 3-bedroom, 6.75 million shillings. 2-bedroom apartment, 5.85. A bedroom loft apartment selling at 4.05. All in Vipingo. And you've flown into Vipingo. They're expanding the road into dual carriage from Mombasa to Kilifi. There's the SGR. So it becomes very, very easy to visit there. You know about that?
Yes. I live in the other side of Vipingo. Yes. So this is a little bit...
It's on the lower side. That's what I'm saying.
But it's a nice. I pass there every time. It's a good project. It targets a certain market. It's only very close to our neighborhood, which is a different. But I like it. I think it's affordable. It is very, very affordable. It is, especially guys who live in this part of the country.
Yeah,
that can be a good, affordable holiday home.
Very good. Yes. Very good. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of 1 in a give. Real housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuomoka.
Toasted luxury.
In a give, single Cassie, girl power.
Cheers!
And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give Kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of 1 from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, so we'll see highs of 29 today in Nairobi, highs of 30 in Nakuru, and in Nyeri we'll go to highs of 30. It's sunny at 16, 19 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 27, and looking into Mombasa, go to highs of 33, which is now cloudy, and at 29 it's sunny in Malindi, highs of 31, 30 will be the high in a sunny Kisumu, and 26 is what it is right now in Kakamega, going to highs of 32. Kampala is sunny at 23, highs of 28, and it'll go to highs of 32 in Dar es Salaam, where it's mostly cloudy at 29. Johannesburg is cloudy at 18, it'll go to highs of 24, and we'll see highs of 33 in a cloudy Lagos at 25. 22 and cloudy in Kinshasa. Looking out into Beijing, it's sunny at 7, highs of 8 and lows of -4, and mostly cloudy conditions for now. In Paris, -2, going to highs of 7. -5 and mostly cloudy in New York, highs of 8 and lows of -3, while it's 5 degrees Tuesday night in New York, coming into Wednesday, highs of 11 and lows of 1.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, coming out of traffic hour by this time today, not looking too terrible in most parts, at least not for now. Looking a little bit better coming off of Kiambu Road. Uhuru Highway, as you get past that Nyayo Stadium roundabout, you're going to get out towards Haile Selassie, and it's going to clog up a little bit here and there. Slight improvement on the Thika Superhighway. It's reducing on Kiambu Road, but we're still seeing that action well into Limuru. James Gishiro crossing over towards Waiyaki Way, and what we saw on Gitanga Naivasha Road getting into the city, not so bad anymore. Talk to us through the morning on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenya Power is banking on the country's growing electric mobility industry to consume more than 1,000 megawatts of unused grid power during off-peak hours. According to the power distributor, the country has an installed capacity of 3,321 megawatts against a peak demand of 2,132 megawatts. However, during off-peak hours late at night, the demand drops to about 1,100 megawatts, leaving bulk of power idle. And Republic of Congo will receive an immediate disbursement amounting to $87 million from the International Monetary Fund to support its economic recovery plans. This follows the conclusion of the second review of the arrangement under the Extended Credit Facility, which was approved in January last year. IMF says the funds will also support the Central African nation to maintain macroeconomic stability amid high food inflation and an uncertain global environment. LG Electronics has announced Dong Won Lee as its new regional managing director for East Africa, replacing Sang Young Kim, who has served for 3 years since January 2020. Before his appointment, Dong Won Lee was the managing director of LG Iraq, a position he held since 2019. He is celebrated for turning around the business in Iraq by increasing sales growth by 50%, hence registering double-digit growth. Flexi Personal is looking for a private label manager with a degree in sales and marketing, business administration or procurement with at least 5+ years of experience in retail. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letter by 10th of February 2023. Visit jobs.diga.co.ke for more information on these and other jobs. Digga Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
Spice FM Business. Spice FM, Nyeri. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
21 minutes to time. We continue the conversation with Nasir Abdullahi, who's our guest this morning, looking at the state of the nation. Grand Mullah, what's happening in the country? We see, the president calls independent officers and commissions, and he reads the prepared speech in which he brings up the issues of bombers. Says people who wanted to kidnap and murder or Fula Chebukati. Of course, we see the opposition reacting, and soon after there is this whole whistleblower story, and it leads into rallies and political rallies and declarations that we do not recognize this president is illegitimately in office.
And then the president keeps, like teasing them and poking them and telling them, just go ahead and hold your rallies and talk the way you want to talk. We want a vibrant opposition. Then he switches the gears immediately and he brings in tax. And now they're all trying to catch up, and now it's a conversation about tax, and there are people who have not been paying tax, and there are people who are rich and they don't pay tax. What's at play here? Because it looks like we are watching something unfolding, but there's something happening in the background.
I mean, everybody agrees, a lot of things happened in August. I mean, especially in Bomas during the last few days before the results were declared. I was there on Bomas when the result was declared, and there was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of things. But, only a judicial commission of inquiry, a proper constituted judicial commission of inquiry can bring out what happened in Bomas, because a lot of things happened. But the bottom line was, there was a huge effort put in by the last government in collaboration with ODM to ensure that the president is not declared the winner of the result. That's the bottom line. There was a lot of effort. It didn't work for them, not because they did not try, but that is something that needs investigation. When you try to subvert the will of the people through extrajudicial process or by using force, that's treason. And a lot of people committed treason. But, that's why I come back to people not doing their job. Even before we do commission, we have an Inspector General of Police who was in the country that time and who can obviously see that I think there's an offense committed there. Yeah. I think there's another one committed there. I want to investigate on my own. But in Kenya, the Inspector General is waiting for the president to call him. And so far, I'm sure the president has not called him because he has not taken any action. But there are those kinds of things, that are always there. Okay, after that, the result was declared. I saw now Raila saying that President William Ruto is not legitimate. But that's the stock in trade of Raila, When has he ever accepted that a president has been lawfully elected? And, we look, I'm not being sarcastic, but, it's history, 1997, 2007, 2013. I tell guys, and it's true, Raila, for him, every political tragedy for Raila is an opportunity. Yes. And
what's the opportunity here?
He's making himself relevant. He's negotiating. He wants people to talk to him. Of course, I'm sure that William will not give him any share in government or accommodate him. But I think he wants some breadcrumbs to be thrown, and breadcrumbs can always be thrown.
So why is the president entertaining it?
What do you do? He's not entertaining, but he's seen someone demonstrating every day. You can't ignore Raila's rallies. They are there. They are loud. There's a lot of
following.
Yes. Yeah. He has a lot of people who are there. There are probably people who are funding him. You can't ignore as a president when 10, 20,000 people come and say that, we want to change. Yes. But that's an opportunity. His loss was an opportunity for him. Yes.
Is it, we have actually talked about it here, is this an attempt by the two political leaders to divert attention of Kenyans on the things that actually matter to Kenyans?
No, actually,
there's a drought in the country, all right? That's affecting more than half of the counties in Kenya, affecting millions of people who are going without food. And the conversation about whether they're actually getting the relief that they require today, Wednesday, to eat today, is not the focus. Long rains are coming. There's been conversation about supporting farmers with cheap fertilizer and cheap seeds. The conversation about whether they're actually receiving the seeds and are receiving the fertilizer is not happening. There's some fund that's being lent to people called the Hustler Fund. The source of the money, all these things are not the conversation. Are we being diverted?
No, let's be fair. We have two conversations. The president, one is he was elected as the mandate of the people, and he had his manifesto and agenda. In all fairness, he's trying his best to implement his agenda. He's addressing the drought issues. You have seen them, raising funds, distributing food all over the country. You have seen them roll the hustler. You have seen them, trying to implement the former budget and now their budget. So, they are doing the work they were elected to do. But on the other side, you can see Raila right from the day the result was declared up to now. I mean, he has exhausted the legal process. He has gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court pronounced it itself and said, that this election is over. But he has now started agitation. He is the one who is deliberately, and that is his strategy. That is his stock in trade. That is his essence as a politician. To scuttle the agenda of the person who wins the elections, to disrupt it, to create a stalemate. So that is brought to the table. And I don't know whether it will be brought to the table, but ultimately, Raila's agitation seeks certain accommodation from President Ruto.
For himself alone?
When has he ever fought for someone else? Or even when he's coming to the table, when has he even brought a second person? 3 is a crowd for him. Yes.
Just looking at some of those things that Eric had mentioned, we're saying looking across the country, I mean, there's so many things that have not happened. Regardless of what we say, okay, is the Kenya Kwanza government on track to get certain things done? The cry of the Kenyan people today is that they just cannot afford life. It's too expensive. It doesn't matter where you look, you're going to land on something that has gone through the roof. From where you see it, do you think that the government that this administration has the wherewithal to lift some of these burdens that Kenya is currently going through?
In my view, yes. But you have to appreciate where we have come from. I mean, the last 6 months of the Uhuru administration, I mean, that government looted everything. They cleaned the coffers of central bank. You remember the central bank governor saying that, there was almost a golden bag 201 that he stopped. I don't know, someone I'm told wanted to bring gold from Congo and exchange it for the dollars they have.
Oh, nice.
But, but that's for another day. Yeah. I mean, these guys looted the treasury. The coffers were empty. You remember Telcom? They sold it the last week for 60 million. A company that Kenya sold for $1, plus the debts, of course. Sold it, 60 million, put in an account of someone everybody knows in this country. So, I mean, the country, Uhuru left this country for the next government to fail. Yes.
Do you think it was deliberate?
Of course it was. I mean,
so that
how
would he know
they
who
paid
was going
Chinese
to win?
contractors for roads. Not from the budget, just because there was money in the treasury.
Yeah.
Money that was not budgeted for. And I think that's why they are saying we want to investigate certain money that was paid. So there's a lot of things that happened the last 2-3 months. And even the last 2 weeks now, just before Ruto was sworn in. So when you come from that background, I mean, you need time. And I think if you look at the figures now, inflation is coming down, the price of food is coming down a little bit. It will take time because we were coming from a hole that was very deep.
And this is what they call the state capture?
Yeah.
Is this what they call the state capture?
Yes. I mean, state capture was just like South Africa popularized it. Private individuals or government employees using the apparatus of the state to loot the state and to make money. And that's what it was.
Go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead.
Having known, as President Ruto today was deputy president during that administration, he would have known that some things, were not going according to, because they were part and parcel of the presidency. But then still going ahead to make a promise, knowing full well that the coffers were empty or close to empty. Should he have made the promises in the manner in which he did?
No, but, we have talked about this. Ruto was deputy president in name. Was indeed a public issue, and everybody knew that even he could not get his laundry from his house, the official house in Mombasa, that Uhuru locked him out. I mean, wasn't that known to everybody? Wasn't it known to everybody that he was not invited to cabinet meetings, excluded from government, his official cars withdrawn, his employees not paid? I mean, let's not revise history to suit certain narrative. But Ruto was not president, in the factual sense. He was deputy president in the legal sense, and he made these promises because, in his view, he could change, the way the country is run. He will change the situation in Kenya, and I think it will change. Kenya will change a lot in my view.
Okay,
because we went back the last 5 years of Uhuru because we were not running a government in the classical sense of the term. Yes, it was a one-man rule, so powerful, Nobody could oppose him. He could do what he wants. And that is why we went into a hole. And getting out of that hole takes time, but we will get out of it.
So you see the indicators pointing that the cry that Kenyans are making today is not going to be for a long time and that things will get better?
Of course, I'm like you outside government, but from what I can see, I think it will be, there will be a lot of change in this country. Yes.
So we look back into all those things that happened in the last 5 years. And the deputy president then campaigning and saying, once we take over office, we are going to actually launch an inquiry into what we are calling state capture to see exactly what happened. Soon after, the president comes into office and says, I've got to balance between whether I want to open up those wounds and that kind of worms and distract the whole country's attention to that, or whether I want to focus the country into moving forward. And he says, I think it's better for us to move forward. A few days later, the same president is basically revisiting those old issues. He says there are people who are not paying tax. The leader of the National Assembly in Parliament is saying, in fact, we want the National Treasury CS to give us certain information so that we can interrogate. Is this the state capture inquiry happening unofficially?
No. You see, I personally met the president several times, and people discuss these issues. And I understand where he's coming from, because he's balancing a lot of balls, which we don't do. If he asks me for advice, I will tell him, go after this, squeeze this guy, There are guys who have stolen money, they have bought properties,
and
it's all over the place. But he has other issues to consider, and I think he's balancing all those issues. But me, what I want is people to relieve that weight from the president, because there are certain offices that are charged with that responsibility. Unfortunately, let's take, for example, KRA. KRA knows who pays tax, who doesn't pay tax. But because of the political dominance of institutions in Kenya, KRA was configured in a certain way. Look, these guys who are my enemies, don't look my friends or my business. We are exempt. These are the guys you should harass. So now there is a change of regime. Then KRA are told, how did you used to operate? They used to say, we used to look this side, and we never used to look these files. Then they are now told, can you now change the configuration? Look this side. Now everywhere. That's what they are doing. But you see, we need independent, credible institutions that will say that, no, this is what the law mandates it. But, again, you couldn't do that because the president will sack you if you tell him to pay tax or if you go after his friends. So I think the important thing for us to do is need to invest in institutions so that they are led by strong men and women who are independent, credible, and always show fidelity to the law. But so I think what's happening in KRA is that about 500 files that KRA was told not to touch, now they're being told to touch. That's simple. It's not about state capture or state fight or anything. KRA was facing this side. They have just been told to face this side. Yes.
Face the other side.
The other side, yes.
Turn away from this one now. Look the other way.
Not even turn away from this, but and it is so easy, and I think that's why people are talking of a tax of 1.4 trillion, because it is so easy
to trace.
There are certain people who never paid taxes. I was told by Uheli, actually, who's an expert in this area, the last 1 year of Uhuru, 550 billion tax exemption was given. 550 billion tax exemption.
In one financial year?
Yes. 550 billion. Some of them are this, some of them are like this. So if you stop that, you can imagine how much you will save.
This president has said that he wants to work with institutions. First thing that he did is, okay, let me show that I'm committed to a functioning judiciary, appoint those judges. Let me show that I'm committed to an independent policing. In fact, let's give them autonomy in how they run their budgets. Is this an indication that the president actually wants these institutions to work?
I think so, because, the police, they were emasculated so much that they couldn't do their job. The police became a small department. If you look at the last 10 years, the Minister for Internal Security and his PS were basically the AG. They could order who should be arrested, who should not be arrested. That is the function of the Inspector General and the officers that work behind him. So now they've been given financial autonomy. They know the law. they know the structure of command, they should do their work. You know?
How long do you want to give them before we actually start seeing the fruit of this new autonomy, the police?
So far, actually, we have not seen anything despite all this. But, I mean, it's the Inspector General to come forward and say that now this is the way I work. I am the one who will decide who should be investigated, and I'm the one who will forward the file to the DPP for this. If we have a strong police force, this country will change. Yes.
I tell you that I don't see an indication of a police force that's independent of in operations. Because just the other day, the day before yesterday, the Minister for Interior was talking about police matters and security and all. And not the Inspector General of Police talking as
He can talk about policy issues. I mean, that is his job.
And he wasn't talking policy issues. He was talking operational issues.
Yes, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because he shouldn't talk about that. The issue of operation is the mandate of the Inspector General. But again, let me tell you, the offices may be there, the law may be there. The person you put in that office determines a lot of things. And in Kenya, you know, we have this fetish obsession to give the job to the most incompetent of us. Yes. And it happens, you know. You will see someone who is so undeserving, holding a big office. Then when he fails, you ask yourself, oh, this office has failed. Of course, it failed from the day he was appointed. Yes.
So how long do we give all these institutions before we actually start seeing a change? That there's a difference between the Uhuru Kenyatta administration and the William Ruto administration.
I mean, let's go back to the judiciary. In the judiciary, when you file a case today, of course, every year the Chief Justice releases a report that is completely false. Completely false, because it's not true. They tell you they have finished the 40% of the cases or 80% of it's not true. They don't finish 5 or 10% of the cases, because I'm a lawyer. I go there.
Yeah.
And it's lies, and it's, this lies is always there. But in Kenya, you go to court today, your case takes 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, why can't Kenyans complain and say, of course I know they have complained, but why has it become a normal that court cases take 10 to 15 years? Yes, why? We have employed so many judges, we have employed so many magistrates, so much clerks. The budget has been increased I think they will increase 5 million every year. But even that, we are not getting justice worth, or the justice we deserve. You go to the police now have a lot, but the quality of police we get is not commensurate with what we pay. You go to the land's office. So, I mean, Kenya has a huge problem. I don't know whether it can be sorted by Ruto, but there's a lot of mediocrity in this country.
Should we reduce our focus on this one institution called the presidency and look at these institutions?
Absolutely.
Or should we look at the presidency and look at the leadership that the presidency is offering?
Of course, the leadership the president offers is important. And, there's a lot. It's a power grid where people are connected to. But we should de-emphasize the power of the president and put people who hold offices to be responsible. I mean, the president has so many ministers. There are so many institutions. It is those people to deliver. And the president to hold them to account if they don't deliver. For example, those in the executive. The judiciary, we must demand, a clean judiciary. It's not, we are entitled to it. Yes. If it is parliament, we need a parliament that legislates effectively, that's not involved in a scandal. Look at, for example, governors. If you look at the devolved government, we have spent trillions of shillings in the last, 12, 14 years. All the governors are the richest in Kenya, aren't they? Isn't that obvious? Yes. Why is nobody holding them to account? Yes. What have they done for the county governments? Kenyans just like talking, we grumble, we complain, but we need to hold these people to account.
All of us collectively.
Kabisa.
Starting with you.
I do it myself. I cry every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Grand Mullah, thank you very much for joining us today. Asante sana for coming. Nasir Abdullah, he's a senior counsel. He is former many things. He's current senior counsel. He's been a former lecturer of law. He's been a former member of the Judicial Service Commission. Those days you were chairman, not president. You should look back at those days. Former president
chairman is fine.
Of the Law Society of Kenya, and very many